Fuller.
Yeah.
Needed F-150 for Smithfield.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide. Even those classified sites. Auto Tempest. All the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
What I'm really proud is that I own MPI, the steering wheel company, and I'm building the steering wheel. This is my creation.
This is yours.
Yes.
It's so sexy.
The steering wheel, it's a very unique thing. It's shaped on the hand of Scott Dixon.
His hand.
Yeah. This grip has 27% more grip feel than suede. Scott in the race is gonna make less effort when he drives. When you're in the car, it's like lifting, it's like having 40-pound dumbbell like this, maybe more in the car.
For how long?
3.5 hours. You know, average heart rate in the car, never below 150. Never below 150. You need to be a real athlete to drive.
Yeah.
They exercise every day. So this is my creation.
Amazing.
And we did.
For those who competed decades ago, speeding down highways, through towns, country roads. For those who sat watching on the sides of the street, who found solace in chaos and thunderous speed. Even for those who grew up without the sights and the sounds, and live without race cars shaking the ground. Who don't understand why racing appeals to our fascination, wonder, and the way that we feel. A purpose-built place to camp and spend time with friends, watching racing together until darkness descends. Though no longer do the streets rumble and roar, there's a place just for this, a park to explore.
A road racing circuit before the assault. The 4 twisting, beautiful miles at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For 6 brutal, ear-shattering hours, its serenity will be violated by the raw power of screaming racing machines. It's the famed end-of-season endurance classic, the Road America 500. The specially constructed race circuit at Elkhart Lake at normal speed is a scenic 4-mile drive through fall-tinted Wisconsin countryside.
Hidden by forests near Elkhart Lake, not a path nor a trail, but a road meant to race. In a town too quiet, the refuge we seek, Road America, the racetrack, the National Park of Speed.
You tell me when my
The National Park of Speed and roaring NASCAR V8s seem like a natural pairing, but it's one that's only been formed in more recent years. Following suit, it's the MPI Cup Series turn to fill the paddock, something that comes with deserved anticipation following the series' first points lead change in months, as Steven Stepien takes point from Mario Miranda. Hi, welcome to PitStop TV and virtual Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Emerson Arden alongside, and while Road America has adorned NASCAR Xfinity schedules for the better part of 2 decades, this whole NASCAR Cup Series thing here is much more new and novel, despite the first ever Cup race here taking place in 1956, Emerson.
Absolutely, and it's a fantastic course. It's one of my favorites as well. I mean, we look at it. It's a 4-mile. I like to call it a speed palace, but it's more here in the countryside of Wisconsin. Again, you have a long uphill straightaway from 14 all the way up to the start finish, and then that's where it begins. You're already coming at about 160, 570 miles an hour before you're hard on the brakes at the 3-cone at Valadas, getting down into turn number 1. Turn 2 really isn't a turn for many cars. It's just noted there on the map. In between 1 and 3, a slight bend. Turn 3, another little braking zone similar to turn 1. Of course, you're just traveling at a lower reduced rate of speed. And then it's right there, Moraine sweep there right after the bend to turn 4, on the way down to the heavy braking zone of turn number 5, and you're back up the hill to the Corvette sign at turn 6 before you're on your way through a nice little technical section before the carousel, Andrew.
Yeah, you literally hurry down to turn number 8, and it's called hurry downs for a reason. That sharp left-hander gets you into the carousel, turns 9 and 10 collectively, and that is, I think, where the single corner that these cars are going to maybe struggle on or excel on the most. I'm not sure which just yet, being the NASCAR Gen 7 platform, but we are about to find out as qualifying opens up here at Road America. The Kink, of course, a very famous corner. A lot can go wrong very quickly before you head down Kettle Bottoms to Canada Corner, also a very famous corner. You're noticing a theme here. Road America is famous for a lot of things and a lot of its corners that adorn the 4-mile circuit. Bill Mitchell Bend is one of the final bends before turn 14. Well, it is the final bend before turn 14 to wrap this course up and head you back up that long front stretch, literally uphill, staring at the sky before you come and stare at the flag stand in anticipation of crossing the finish line first. So, Road America, round 17 of 35. These are the points after 16. And I mentioned the first points change or points lead change, I should say, in literal months for the MPI Cup Series. You see it there. Steven Stepien, 3 wins of the season, now ahead of Mario Miranda by just 10. So it's a narrow margin. But Mario's absence at Sonoma, and I think just lack of general performance lack of winning, realistically, last week at Nashville, hold him back a little bit, hold him in that second spot, while Lawson Peel has shuffled way up these standings. If you recall, Emerson, go back to COTA in March. He was down around the 15th, 16th spot, just kind of there in the series. And since then, while we've been covering this series, he has rocketed into 3rd and has put 4 wins on his name. Those coming at Circuit of the Americas, Kansas Speedway, I want to say the last 2 races, Sonoma Raceway and now Nashville Superspeedway last week. A big thanks to Podium Esports for covering that race last week at Nashville. You see Joe Sanchez tied with Lawson Peel there, but of course the tiebreaker between those two, the 2 extra wins to Lawson Peel's name, as Sanchez has a couple of his own. Other big notables in these top 20, Emerson, you've got Warren Kyle Keith in 8th spot with a win, Austin Reedy in 10th with 2 wins, and honestly, I think you have to look at guys like Dakota Curtis, Parker Bland, and even Travis Stevens and Justin Winters in this top 20 as guys that are going to point their way in more than likely and secure spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tightening up around that cut line. You see Parker Bland currently holds that spot in, but you look at Austin Shoemaker, who's consistently up there, and they're trying things. The Shoemakers both end up trying weird strategies that kind of put them in some nice track position scenarios, and it's fun to kind of see how they work their way to try to play it out. Kip Easley, of course, he's a clean driver that always tries to make it to the end of these races. Again, there's a lot of good drivers that aren't even inside that cut that we're going to have to really keep our eyes on through the coming weeks, and why not starting tonight here at Road America. It's going to get really tight on that cut line, and the intensity is just ramping up as we run our way to the playoffs, Andrew.
thanks to Max Pappas Max Pappas Innovations, bringing us tonight's point standings, and of course the MPI Cup Series as a whole. I do want to mention, before we go any further here with the points and all that, a big thank you, first off, to Kyle Heyer of SimTV and Grid Life, loaning me not only his rig, but his whole space as a whole this evening, as I am in Chicago, Illinois. I am very much not at home in North Carolina. I actually got to commentate Grid Life with Kyle this past weekend, and literally including today. We had 2 streams earlier today, and I recommend you checking those out on YouTube later on if you can, on the Grid Life YouTube channel. A whole lot of fun, grassroots road course racing, and easily the best production in grassroots road course racing. A whole lot of fun, and it's been a weekend. But into qualifying now. We're already into the closing stages, almost just under 6 minutes to go. No times are complete, and this is going to be a theme in this qualifying session. These laps are going to take a while to complete, over 2 minutes, somewhere, well, again, in the range of 4 miles around this place. Nobody's got a time in just yet, but let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, around 15 cars potentially are on their first flying lap, including Lawson Peel in your picture, and points leader Steven Stempian. Peel about to close up his first lap. As you can see, clouds as well. If we can get the weather information, it is not all that hot, I don't think. It's more so kind of almost a fall day here. Well, I guess 81 degrees in the air, 100 degrees on track, as you see a 2:11.3 go up for Lawson Peel. Stempian just behind him. Austin Reedy in the neighborhood as well. Joe Sanchez, Justin Erb, Richard Swavely getting times, and you can see the big difference from Erb to guys like Muscarella and Swavely.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we look at Lawson Peel. He won that race at Coda that we started off our coverage of the MPI Cup Series with. And I was just about to get to that name that just went top of the charts. Mario Miranda. That was the one who was absolutely dominant at Circuit of the Americas up until that last stint where Lawson Peel chased him down and they were able to duke it out. And again, Mario Miranda, I kind of looked to him as like that dominant road course ringer. It was our introduction to the series for what it's worth. But Mario Miranda, with his absence at Sonoma, I'm sure that hurt him. He is going to be looking to absolutely light it up tonight when it comes to Road America, being that he should have had Coda in his eyes and that he missed Sonoma. I'm sure this is a huge circle on the calendar for Mario Miranda, and he's looking so far mighty fine at the top of the timing sheet.
R99 certainly hitting his marks this evening. Burnt Rubber Media, they've got something working with Mario, and he definitely, I think, is going to come back fighting, swinging certainly at Steven Stempian for that points lead before the night is over, certainly before this regular season comes to an end. Jesse Whittington gets a time on the board, goes to the ninth spot. Isaac Mock in 10th, Parker Bland in 11th. Those guys joining Richard Swavely down there as some of the slower cars on the racetrack. I hate to put it that way, but it's just being entirely honest. Those guys way off pace right now, 7 seconds, in fact, off pace in the case of Parker Bland. So we're going to see a big time gap that we don't usually see in the MPI Cup Series. We usually have these guys relatively on top of each other, but tonight it's just going to be a little bit more spread out, I think, with the nature of this course. And this car is very, very difficult as we go on board here with Warren Kyle Keith. You can hear him modulating that throttle through turns 9 and 10 through the carousel, and the car wants to point a whole lot of different directions, especially now with this Gen 7 platform, Emerson. Everything is different as Peel goes even faster.
Yeah, Peel has absolutely put a steamer. That's half a second quicker than Miranda, so I'm going to be looking closely at what time Miranda can put up. But I wouldn't count out Warren Kyle Keith. He was doing fairly well in the practice. He was up in the top 10, and I'm sure Warren would like to get some more momentum to roll in his favor. And why not here at Road America? Again, I think this is kind of more of the equalizer when it comes to road courses, because while it is a very... Oh my gosh, that is a flyer. A 2:10.5. That is not an easy time to achieve in these things. These are some mighty, mighty machines. Very difficult to get around here. As we watch Keith come up the hill, see what Keith can put
Somebody I want to mention, Emerson, is Wyatt Brackett, who's just gone sixth. If you recall, Thursday evening, he just joined the North American Racing League with their Porsche Cup vehicles on Thursday evenings, and in fact ran with us at Circuit of the Americas, somewhere that he's got experience in this MPI Cup Series. So I think that road course experience is starting to bleed over for him. And as far as these guys setting these fast times, it kind of makes sense. The track is just hot enough to have temperature and be a little bit quick, but it's not too hot to where they're slipping and sliding all over the place. So there's just enough temp to be good, but also just cool enough to, well, not be completely terrible for these guys as far as handling goes.
Absolutely, and from what I was told, I know a couple people who are into the beta testing aspect of the iRacing platform, and they said that what we were going to really anticipate with that most recent iRacing season update that happened a couple weeks ago was these grip on road, the grip on the road course is just increasing, and these cars being so much more drivable on the road courses. I think the braking still needs some work. For what it's worth, they are big, heavy stock cars, but I know we get told that these are bigger, better brakes, but as far as the grip in the traction zones, these cars are something else. They're a blast to drive on road courses now. I think people dreaded them before. I think some of these drivers, they're going to really like the updates that iRacing is going, the direction iRacing is going with these stock cars on road courses.
Following along with Kip Easley on the racetrack currently. This is lap number 2. His first lap did not count. We'll see if this one stands, as Dakota Curtis has also gone through his laps. He's on pit lane, not moving. Joseph Mahar is on his out lap, and Ross Harlow's on his second qualifying lap. As Easley's does count, he goes to 16th on the board, while Curtis Kelly goes up to 11th, and there's Ross Harlow in car 5. Good to see him lapping here at Road America. This is out of turn 14, up the hill. This will complete his first timed lap, as he is one of very few on the racetrack. He joins Kevin Hurley, Warren Kyle Keith, and Joseph Mahar currently on the clock, or at least on the track, and Ross Harlow.
That's a good lap.
All right, 4th place inside of a second of Mario Miranda. I think if you're within a second of Miranda here, you're in good company.
Absolutely, that was a good lap. Oh, Mahar's in the grass.
Boy.
No! Big hit to the inside wall there off of turn 14.
That's his first lap burned.
Oh, and that's a time running out as well, so that is going to do it.
Warren Kyle Keith does go to the 11th spot, so we're just beating the clock there. Car 22 moves up nearly to the top 10. We've got about 30 cars on hand, Emerson. Not a bad field. In fact, 29 cars as we get ready for our grid. Not a bad field at all, I feel like, for this 17th race in the season, especially given the fact that 12 drivers are actually marked ineligible for this race based on practice allotments. So when you have 12 drivers completely and utterly ineligible, they cannot run this race, and you still have 29, that's a good day. Down to our starting grid, though, for the 17th round of the season, the Road America 180 on pole. Yes, the kart racer Mario Miranda out of Oklahoma puts it on pole in car 99. Los Appeal will start from second. Starting from third, you'll find new points leader, Steven Stepien in car 81, and alongside it will be Ross Harlow in car number 5 with Mission 22 on the hood. Starting fifth, it's Kevin Hurley in the number 42 Chevrolet with Austin Reedy to his left side. And starting on the inside of row number 4, you will find Joe Sanchez in car number 55. Wyatt Brackett in car number 10 starts from the 8th spot. Your back row of the top 10, Emerson, it's Alex Muscarella in that beautiful 48 car as per usual, and look on his left side, that's Justin Erb in the 24.
A great run there for Justin Erb. Warren Kyle Keith just missing out on the top 10. He'll end up 11. Richard Swavely, who's outside in row number 6 in P12. 13th, it'll be the 29 of Curtis Kelly. The 54 of Braden Banks, he will start in 14th. 15th, it'll be the 94 of Jesse Whittington. And the 14 of Austin Shoemaker will start in 16th. Back to row number 9, it'll be the 27 of Kip Easley starting in 17th. The 7 of Isaac Mock there in 18th. And back to the final row of the top 20, it'll be the 68 of Ryan Kendall, the 01 of Parker Bland.
Starting 21st, Travis Stevens in car 2 alongside Ray Rogers in the Toby Christie number 18 Toyota Camry. Charles Feltz rolls off from the inside of row 12 in the Marines Chevrolet with Chris Progar adorning the fast in all colors as per usual. Dakota Curtis debuting a brand new sponsor. Yes, that is Sunoco Race Fuels, the official fuel of NASCAR, on board the number 1 car, the Toyota Camry. That is a good looking paint as well. And Sean Kalis of Kalis Synthetics will start from 26th position. Logan Surgeon joins the field this evening from the 27th spot with Joseph Mahar adorning the Dollar General number 19 from position 28, and Brad Fulham will rear up the back end of the field starting 29th tonight on the inside. Well, the only car in row number 15. And Emerson, he's got a brand new sponsor as well, Roasted Gems Coffee. And one thing we love to do at PitStop TV is when sponsors go fully in on this engagement and on this activation with drivers, we love to talk about them. We love love to give them that attention because that's what sponsors are for. So Dollar General on the 19, Rosa Jim's Coffee on the number 45, Toby Christie on the 18. Big shout outs to all of them. And of course, Sunoco Race Fuels, the official fuel of NASCAR for Dakota Curtis. So big shout outs to all of those. Fastenal for Chris Progar and so many more throughout this entire field. I believe worth mentioning Jesse Whittington in the K9 colors in the number 94 car, K9 Rouge Rescue, I do believe. So a lot of great partners of a lot of these drivers throughout the field, and they definitely do a whole lot for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's great. Again, with all the amazing colors, not only that, but again, all the support, and of course, all the ones that come over to the sim racing side, it is starting to gain a lot of traction, and it's great for us as sim racing enthusiasts who get to kind of see this thing that we typically take as a hobby kind of grow into something much bigger.
On that same note, a lot of people do a lot of things for us here at PitStop TV. We have plenty of partners of our own. The series has partners of their own. A lot of people do a lot of great things to support sim racing, whether it's on the league side, the driver side, or the channel side. So let's go ahead and give a shout out to our series partners here with the MPI Cup Series, of course, beginning off. I've got to find my list again. See, everything's in a different spot this week. But again, a big shout out to Kyle Heyer for letting me use his sim. Max Pepis Innovations, of course, takes every aspect of construction and safety to heart in the most accurate and dedicated way possible. Max Pappa's goal has always been to apply his experience and knowledge to produce a state-of-the-art product for the racing community, and that is exactly what MPI achieves. Auto Tempest saves you time, effort, and guesswork when buying a car and gathering results, from all top used car websites, eBay Motors, Cars.com, TrueCar, Carvana, you name it. Nowhere else will you find more listings in one place, and Auto Tempest makes it easy so you can spend less time looking for your ideal car and more time driving it. KaylaSynthetics.com is an independent dealer of Amsoil lubricants serving the USA and Canada, providing custom engine lubrication solutions to all types of customers, from residential lawn care crews to race teams, hauling fleets, you name it. They have products and the expertise to help you save time and money. That's all we have time for now because the field is in a turn number 14, and we'll talk about our partners here in just a little bit at PitStop TV. Mario Miranda is going to lead us to the drop of the green flag this evening. Lawson Peel from second, and Steven Stempien, Ross Harlow, Kevin Hurley, your top 5. Track temps still sitting at that same 100-degree mark. Overcast, 81 degrees. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get after it. The green flag is going to fly this evening from Elkhart Lakes, Road America. Mario Miranda leads us off. Green flag in the Road America 180. Side by side most of the way back. One car slow, that's Parker Bland. But we continue racing. And down underneath the Sargento Real Cheese People Bridge, we will go. So lap 1, claiming a few cars, but our leaders are still after it. Steven Stempien and Ross Harlow side by side. Stempien backs out to turn 5. Harlow is going to take point.
It's Harlow clearing his way onto the podium. And, going wide there. I believe that was 94. Yep, that's Whittington who went wide. And right now it's Stempien under heavy attack from Kevin Hurley. And Hurley trying to put that number 42 on the map ever since he took it over from Warren Kyle Keefe. And why not with a great run so far in 5th early on here. But looking to maintain that and looking to improve upon that with pressuring the series point leader and Steven Stempien. That would go a long way, end up getting his name noticed in the series.
Austin Reedy also slow in turn 8, but we'll keep going with our race leaders as he rejoins the circuit. Mario Miranda leading, of course, as we go down to the kink for the first time in competition. Lawson Peel second, Ross Harlow third, Stempien, Hurley, Sanchez, Muscarella, Brackett, Keith, and Kelly your top 10 as we get down through turn number 11 and headed down to Canada Corner. One of many race car fans' favorite corners in the world in some cases as we go down to Canada Corner for the first time. I do want to mention Kevin Hurley, the only driver putting pressure on anybody right now. He is very close to Steven Stempien here at Emerson, and I think by turn 1 could have an opportunity to pass the 81 car if he is willing to put the pressure on.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, long straightaways here provide that kind of an opportunity to these drivers to do so. and you'll see it right there. I think he lost a little bit of traction out of turn 14. He's not going to be close enough to make something happen now, but if he can really get his throttle down, get the traction out of these slow corners, he will be right there and knocking on the rear end of the 81.
In case you're curious, more problems on lap 1. Claim Ray Rogers. Nobody out of this race, but multiple cars going off track, and I think even Parker Bland, who got in the wall a little bit that first lap, it looked like. I think he's okay. So we continue on. Really no big concerns this first lap, but you do have Steven Sempian being humbled quickly by Kevin Hurley, who is really on him right now. He might have a battle for fourth very soon.
Absolutely, and this is where it begins. Really, these long straightaways, you have these heavy braking zones. He's right on board with Hurley, and he really closes up in the braking zone. But if he can put the throttle down, he's got a nice line through 5. He's going to be able to make something happen potentially. He's right there trying to get a wider line. Again, that wider entry, the straight line, the exit of the corner, that's going to be huge in setting yourself up for the next corner.
Hurley's still putting that pressure on. You can see the telemetry there on the bottom right of your screen down to second gear. Oh, catches the grass on the outside, nearly lost it. That's always so scary as a driver. When you clip that grass under braking, the car can get away from you in a hurry, but that time hangs on to it, as you saw. So it looks like things will fizzle out here in the top 10. I know Kip Easley is all over Alex Muscarella. I think that pass was just made. Muscarella now into the top 10, so a lot of things changing. Warren Keith as well is very close to Wyatt Brackett. So things changing in the top 10 as we stay on board with Kevin Hurley, and Sempian has driven away since the Carousel Emerson, so that's how quickly things can change.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one little mistake, and I wonder how hard what we're going to see a 42 like Kevin Hurley push through that section of the course next time around, because he got that close to the grass on the right hand side, or he did get the grass. For what it's worth, it was on the straighter part of the track, so I don't know if he's really going to change anything. We'll see, but it might be in his best interest to just keep the car on the track and let these laps click off, maybe a little closer to the end of stage 2 if he has a go. Will be his opportunity to go. And Miranda right there with the 2:11.117. And there's Kip Easley. He has driven away. I'm sorry, Muscarella has driven away from Kip Easley. And you can see it there, the 48 up the road here into turn 1.
What is developing is Wyatt Brackett, Warren Keith, and Curtis Kelly. In fact, Warren had a move on Wyatt Brackett through Bill Mitchell Bend, but unfortunately, he just went a bit wide in turn 13, went off track, and did some excavation out there, digging up some dirt and digging up some grass, maybe some landscaping as well. But the discount tire, number 22 Ford Mustang, as the sun is coming out a little bit down this straightaway, is starting to hound Wyatt Brackett once again. Down to turn 5. Brackett took a conservative line, a defensive line into the corner, but that's going to hurt him on exit, as you can see. He picks up some time, and Muscarella, what happened to him? Sideways, hangs onto it for now, and nearly comes over into Kip Easley, but everything's okay.
Yeah, Muscarella
though now all over Kip Easley. This is a good battle for 10th.
And Muscarella got way hot into turn 5, and we are going to get to see Kip Easley on Austin Reedy.
Pass made now by Austin Reedy. Alex Muscarella follows suit as Logan Sturgeon, I think, is having some issues. He goes off track. These guys are going to challenge all afternoon, Emerson. Now, there's only so much we can catch. But I really wish we could go back through and edit. Oh, my goodness. Richard Swavely nearly just had a moment. This is going to be a challenging track, I think, for everybody on this course. You can already see Miranda has pulled a 1.3 second gap on second place. It's another 2 seconds from Peel to Harlow. From Harlow to Sempian is 1.4 seconds. And even from Sempian to Hurley, who were close together on the early stages of lap 1 and lap 2, they're still 7/8 tenths apart. So the gaps are building very, very quickly, and we're going to see a lot of ebbing and flowing as, oh boy, there's some great stuff happening further back. Ryan Kendall getting passed up by Progar and Curtis.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see here. I wonder if Miranda is pushing, I guess, too hard. I know that's, I guess, a little crazy to ask because, Miranda, he has, shown that he can get it done. But we saw Peel really eat him up at the end of the Coda race. And I wonder if Peel is going to end up setting up the same thing. You see it right there into the corner. Progar under attack from Curtis into turn 1.
Oh,
Not going to get
would have
there.
thought better of him.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, just behind these guys, Isaac Mock and Travis Stevens now side by side. Justin Erb in the mix as well. Stevens on the inside of Mock, and you can see they're trying to give each other room, trying not to race too hard, but also race for these spots. And you know what? What's different about this race, and is more akin to what you see on Wednesday nights here on PitStop TV with the Outlaws Sim Series, is we are not throwing caution flags this evening for our stages. So at the completion of lap, Travis Stevens, that was sketchy. At the completion of lap 9 onto lap 10, we will still have stage 1. Same thing for the completion of 19 onto 20. For stage number 2, and we will still award points, 10 to the stage winner and so on and so forth, but we are not taking a caution flag. So we very well could have a caution-free event this evening, as Curtis Kelly has a problem. Emerson, oh my, that car looks okay, but he did just give it a spin and potentially a little boop on the nose. I think he's fine. He'll continue on. As you can see, the car looks clean into the carousel, but he just had a moment and spun and lost at least 1 or 2 spots.
Actually, he finds himself behind Brendan Banks, so he lost. Yeah, lost about 3 or 4 spots. But again, the Arizona Iced Tea Chevrolet Camaro looks fine. And again, with the updates to the next-gen car and the new damage model, they can actually handle a hit or 2 to the wall, believe it or not. Now, it's not ideal. Of course, he did lose time, but you are able to take a little bit of a beating on this car. You are able to beat and bang with one another. You are able to hit the wall a couple times on the ovals, and so I guess here as well. It's kind of it's more to what we see in real life. You saw like this week in practice or in qualifying, Kyle Busch spun out and hit the rear end, and you could barely notice he hit the rear end, even though he hit it at a pretty decent rate of speed. And so these cars, these really are, I know drivers like to say they're built like tanks. They really do feel like it.
4 laps complete with a little bit of change there as Miranda continues to lead. It's now 1.2 seconds the gap. One guy who wishes he had the bigger brakes that you referenced earlier, Emerson, is Steven Stumpian. Last lap into Canada Corner, he just buried it in a little bit deep and went way too far out there into the dirt and lost that 4th spot to Kevin Hurley, but now he's starting to put some pressure on. But if we can change our focus, we have cars in the pit lane beginning but not ending with Alex Muscarella. That car did just take some severe damage. He had a moment behind Austin Reedy, and he might be done for the day based on his tendencies and the fact that he towed to the pit lane, and yes, the left front was damaged. So problems for Muscarella, and I think he's done. Other cars in the pit lane, including but not limited to Ryan Kendall and Ray Rogers, even Logan Sturgeon on the pit lane. All 4 of these cars are likely done for a while, if not the day. So for you fans watching at home, if you're a fan of any one of these guys, Muscarella, Kendall, Rogers, or Sturgeon, I have unfortunate news. They're probably done.
And that's too
just
bad.
Closed in like 3/10. So on lap 5 here of 45, great battles all over the racetrack. We saw one briefly there for a moment. Jesse Whittington, Chris Progar, Dakota Curtis, and some others all battling around the mid part of the teens, if you will. Think for 11th to 20th in that range. That's really the best battle on the racetrack as Jesse Whittington goes off the circuit in turn number 8, comes back on before heading under the Johnsonville-Speedville Bridge into the carousel here at Road America and continuing on. He's now in the 16th position behind Chris Progar and Dakota Curtis. So as we head down to the kink with 5 laps complete, working on a 6th. Here we go, our race leaders up front. Mario Miranda, Lawson Beal, a good place to turn our focus to. Now we see Curtis Kelly and Brandon Banks. And this is actually an interesting battle, Emerson. I'm glad we're here because Banks in the 54 has a little bit of nose damage, but has been chasing down Curtis Kelly over the last few laps, making some inroads on that gap, and that would be for the 11th position if he's able to get there, closing in certainly.
That's right. And we just saw Kelly have his incident. Actually, I believe he was behind Banks, and he just got around him
recently. So yeah, actually we could be talking about Curtis Kelly making a pass on Kip Easley soon in the number 27 Chevrolet. So a lot changing here around the top 10 cutoff. And remember, these are for stage points. These positions will matter, and welcome stage points for guys like Kip Easley if he's able to hang on to it. Even Austin Reedy, who desperately needs to turn his season around before we get down to the playoffs, and Podium Esports takes coverage back over. So these guys need these points rather desperately. Even Wyatt Brackett could really use them here. Running in the 8th spot is, I don't think Kip Easley is going to have that bonus point anymore as Curtis Kelly goes on through. Kip Easley slipping and sliding in turn 5.
Yeah, Kip Easley just went a little wide there, and we've seen that a lot today already. Drivers just getting a little too deep in the turn. You can see right there, as Curtis Kelly locks up the left front going into turn 8 there. But we're seeing these drivers really struggle getting into these corners. These brakes, they are, again, they're not the best, and these are big, heavy stock cars going at 170 miles an hour. They're not going to stop on a dime. But you're seeing these drivers absolutely find the limits of these cars, and oh my goodness, Curtis Kelly nearly going over the extra curbing there at the exit of the kink as well. So even though these guys are down in the 10th position, or battling for the 10th position, now that Curtis Kelly has gotten up into that top 10 position, don't think these guys are not trying. They're absolutely leaving it all out on the track.
While we continue to watch these guys in the midfield, I do want to mention Kevin Hurley recently has relinquished the 5th spot, the 4th and then the 5th positions on track to Steven Stempian and Joe Sanchez. But here we go, a pass from Brandon Banks on Kip Easley. We'll see here on this battle, but it's worth mentioning Hurley just dropped 2 spots. A mistake in turn 5 caused that for him, as these guys are really struggling, Emerson. They keep bouncing around, and this is something I don't usually have. Not to break the fourth wall too much, but usually I'm producing these shows, so I'm seeing everything the broadcast sees, so I stay pretty conservative on how much I bounce around the field. While you guys, be it you or Trey Patton from Sonoma or Ed Scherer or whoever else, are able to bounce around and look at everything on the racetrack, I'm feeling your lives right now while you're feeling mine. I'm able to bounce around and look at everybody who goes off track. I just watched Warren Kyle Keith go off track in turn 3. This is a different perspective for me, being able to watch these guys go all over the place and struggle with this course. But it is very fascinating as well to watch them be able to do that and keep running. Not go too far out in the dirt, not go too far out in the grass and damage these cars. There's an art to getting a track right, of course, and I think everybody at home will at least have some appreciation for the art of keeping the car out of the barriers. Yes, there's an art to going fast, there's also an art to going slow without crashing. I feel like that you've got to be able to save a race car, and so far these guys are doing a great job of that.
Absolutely. This is a tough course. There's only been 2 cup races here for what it's worth, and one was in 1956, so however much stock you put into that, I know none of these drivers, that's not real.
Yeah, we're racing these Gen 7 cars here before NASCAR does.
Absolutely, right. We're going to find out how these Gen 7 cars handle around here next weekend. This is kind of really going to be, it really is interesting. These drivers have no real film or anything, if they study film or anything of the real Cup Series drivers taking here. These guys had to learn it all on their own, and it really has been a tough battle. And the thing is, Road America is forgiving. The walls are pretty far away from the actual pavement itself. The grass gives a lot of leeway in that regard.
Joe Miranda in the YouTube chat hitting on something very important. This is a very driver-centric course. Very much. You have got to have something going right now. Dakota Curtis. Speaking of a driver-centric course, comes out of turn 14, lays some rubber down, but gets sideways while doing it, and comes over the radio, I'm sure letting Richard Swavely know he's sorry for that one. Thankful he hung on to things. Now you see this battle popping up as Swavely drops behind Whittington. Clearly Swavely had passed Whittington at some point, had made that spot up, so you have to wonder if Swavely can get back there and make that pass once again. But Whittington, you see those rookie stripes in the bumper, Emerson, brand new to the series, joined back around, Charlotte Motor Speedway, back in that area, maybe one race prior, still brand new to MPI Cup Series action, filling this role quite nicely. He's a pretty good rookie. He's getting into a lot of battles in very good ways and earning his keep. As you see Chris Progar on screen with Justin Erb. Erb had just gone by Dakota Curtis before that slide out of 14, and now Austin Shoemaker will defend over Chris Progar. car. Progar down to the inside of 5. Very, very close there through the 5th corner.
Absolutely, and Shoemaker holding station as to go over to curbing. And again, there is 2 laps left in this stage. But again, that's still, I mean, we're talking 8-10 miles left to race, and around goes Whittington off of turn 6. And
I had just spoken high praises.
And it just gets worse. He was up near the top 10 earlier, and it's now really going to drop down the running order here. 19th and under attack from a couple more cars.
I had just spoken high praises on Whittington, unfortunately losing the car there, dropping 1 more spot behind Stevens. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, all he lost was time. He only lost 1 spot as well. He goes off at 8, but we'll lose 1 more to Isaac Mock. I'm trying to make this okay for him, and he keeps making it worse, unfortunately. But no, I love everything that's happening over at Burning Rubber Media, at least in this MPI Cup Series. Doing a fantastic job of just getting cars on track and keeping them competitive every week. So fantastic stuff from BRM and Jesse Whittington, Mario Miranda, and all of their other teammates and associated drivers. I really like what they've got going with their efforts. Inside the top 5, though, Emerson, we've got a battle popping up. Steven Stempian and Joe Sanchez. Sanchez has recently gone on by for the 4th position, and with the stage end closing in as Miranda has taken the 1 to go on stage 1, this is important, especially considering the fact that Stempian is now our points leader.
Right, and Stempian is going to have to be pretty much on damage control as Miranda, again, he's looking for that, stage win. He's down in 5th, trying to improve upon that so he can maybe have a fighting chance, or at least have the points lead very close. And he's locking up into turn 5. He's going to miss the rear end of Sanchez, but it's going to absolutely destroy the chances that Stempian had to get by Sanchez, and he loses a spot to Hurley for good measure.
So Stempian now down to the 6th position, and that's only going to get Miranda closer to taking this points lead on stage points alone, as Miranda's already down through the carousel, it looks like. He is hauling around Road America and wants to put this first stage to bed. Now, usually, again, we'd be coming to a caution flag, a stoppage of time, and an opportunity to speak with Miranda, but we won't get to talk to anybody until this race is over. We are going to have to just keep on going, stay green flag unless we get a large incident here at Road America. And with the field already thinning, as Muscarella, Sturgeon, Kendall, and Rogers are officially done for, actually, Sturgeon's back on track, but Muscarella and Kendall are done. With the field thinning a little bit, it's going to be more difficult to get a caution flag at this point in the day. So, car 99 through Bill Mitchell Bend. We'll head down to turn 14 and wrap this lap up and claim 10 points for himself and BRM in the number 99. You're watching Ross Harlow on track. Harlow is in the 2nd spot. I didn't even notice that. Thank you for bringing that up, Emerson. Lawson Peel has had an issue recently and lost that 2nd spot, and those two are going to battle here shortly, I'd imagine. But it is Ross Harlow then taking the 8 points, or the extra point.
Right, and I found that very intriguing. Harlow did get 2nd. I know Peel.
I just went back and saw what happened. I'm sorry to interrupt. Lawson locked up in 6th, locked up the left front, carried it off the racetrack, was still on the brakes, and I think tried to gas it back up and looped it out of the corner. As you see a battle of the line, that's Wyatt Brackett over Austin Reedy. Wyatt got the point. Now let's Reedy go on through.
And that was close. Reedy got a great run out of 14. Huge run through the traction zone, getting up to speed, and almost had a run at Brackett. Or he did have a run, but he wasn't close enough at the line to make something of it. So Brackett did get credited with 7th there, if that indeed is where the points are being awarded there. And then he lets him on through. So I'd say, he's doing great. He was aggressive right until the point that, he was under attack, and he just let Reedy on through. See if he can learn from Reedy as Reedy locks up there in 5.
While these guys battle, we do have a car in distress. Joseph Mahar has recently been to that car and is trying to limp back to the pit lane. He's on the outside of turn 14 currently, trying to get over to pit entry, and he will. But that was a rather stressful moment there for car 19 for at least a few moments. Thankfully gets over and will bring that car to the safety of pit lane and likely will end his competitive run for the day. Parker Bland will come on by and take that spot away. So Parker Bland, I know T-Bland is out there watching along this evening. Parker is going to claim now the 22nd position. He has not pitted yet, though, so he might fall back a few more spots after pit stops. Oh, and Emerson. Richard Swavely on pit lane. He has also, it looks like, had some kind of issue. He's been here for a while, and I see some extra damage to that car. I'm hoping for the best here, but as I go back through the replay, yes, he has officially been to that car in turn 3 and is likely done for the day as well. So add Swavely to the list of cars that have been claimed. Isaac Mock is back on track after, no, he was back on track. He is, as you can see in pit lane, his car is damaged. Sturgeon is damaged, albeit still running.
Miranda's on the pit lane.
More and more flies are dropping as this. You can see Mario Miranda completed stage 1, now is down the pits.
And here comes Mario Miranda. Again, the pit lane speed, 45 miles an hour. That's a tricky pit road speed to get to. You're going up the hill. You're accelerating still up the hill until you feel you're able to slow down to that 45 miles an hour. You go from about 120 to that 45. And it looks like Miranda should be fine. He's stopping in that first pit box, of course, courtesy of qualifying on the pole position. And we await to see Miranda's pit service. Down and away, no tires, just fuel. Or unless I just didn't see the tire stop there.
That pit stop came in at, hang on, 8.2 seconds. That certainly seems like just enough fuel to get to the end of stage 2, where he'll probably take tires. I'm not surprised by that. We do have 3 sets of tires on hand to change, so 4 total for the race. I'm not entirely surprised by that strategy to make sure you've just got fuel, run the car maybe a little bit lighter even to get the rest of these 10 laps in and get through the stage and then go ahead and take tires. This is a road course strategy for sure for Mario Miranda, but I like it. I think that's going to pay off pretty nicely, especially being the first one to do so, and especially with the 8-second gap he already had over Ross Harlow and Lawson Peel. By the way, Harlow still in second spot, Peel still in third. No change there. Even Sanchez Hurley still in the same order. Really, nothing is changing aside from the lead with Mario pitting, though we do have a battle for 13th, Austin Shoemaker and Justin Erb. So this is very much a road course race at this point. The field is stringing out, we're talking about strategy, and drivers are having issues keeping the car on track.
That's right. Well, courtesy of Miranda pitting, the lead is under a second now with Harlow and Peel. But again, Harlow has started to leg the gap on Peel a little bit. Peel just looks like he doesn't have quite what Harlow has. Harlow is just able to kind of navigate his way through the course a little bit better. Again, you said Peel had a mistake, and that switched the hands into positions. But for what it's worth, Harlow has steadily gained on Peel. As soon as I say that, Peel is now closer down to under 0.6 of a second.
As laps wind on here at Road America, Ross Harlow, we expect down the pit lane at some point. We don't know when, though. We've been very much surprised so far by Mario Miranda's strategy, and these guys just began a new lap. So are they going to try, potentially, Emerson, and go deep into the stage or even through the stage? I don't know that these guys can. That's 80 miles well, actually, probably more like 85 miles of racing. I don't know that that's a possibility here for these NASCAR vehicles, but it could be. I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I don't think Mario would have pitted if they could.
Right, and unless there's some other strategy that Mario is more fixated on winning the race overall. It's gotten really tightened up for this lead. For what it's worth, we'll see about the fuel strategy here in a minute. Peel's really hounding the rear end of the 5 of Ross Harlow, nearly clipping the edge of the curbing there, and 7 down into turn 8. Very tight and very tricky corner. People don't give turn 8 enough credit for how difficult of a corner it is. And now to the carousel. You ride behind one another and you try to see if there's any hole that opens as you approach the exit of the carousel, and you look your way down towards the kink. You're setting yourself up for a potential move into Canada corner now.
Purely speculation, Emerson, but what if this is a 2-stop race no matter how you cut it? And in that case, Miranda's going to make his first stop. Well, he already did. His second stop will likely come around some point, maybe lap 25 or so. If these guys are good for 20, maybe 21 on fuel, that means these guys can certainly run through stage 1 and then pit, and then they still have to come in before the end of the race. So maybe Miranda is going to go ahead and shorten those runs up and, I guess extend the short one. A turn for the lead. Wow. Peel turns Harlow. It's not the first time we've seen that in this series. And unfortunately, Ross Harlow will lose the lead and drop a lot of time. Joe Sanchez comes in close, so Lawson Peel has to get out of town and get going. He will take over the race lead, lap number 12, but contact there. Reedy even passes Harlow, and Harlow will pit. Wow.
Wow, that is it was really hard racing for what it's worth. I think Peel saw his opportunity and thought he had to take it at that very moment, and he sensed it. But I think the right front locked up as he was trying to get down into the corner, and he just got into Peel. I mean, we were on board for it as it happened. Wow, I mean, for what Harlow gave a lot of space on the apex of the corner. I don't know if Harlow missed the corner or if he knew that Peel was going to send it. But Peel
Lawson flat ran through him. I mean,
yeah,
there's no sugarcoating that one, Emerson. He just flat ran through him for the race lead, and it's not intentional. We know that, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. That doesn't mean that it isn't still an issue. So, very unfortunate there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of post-race talking to or something for Lawson Peel. And the only reason I bring that up is because, of course, there is that dramatic moment from Circuit of the Americas, and oh boy.
And it just
thankfully Ross keeps it in control. He's just off the track, but gets back on. But going back to Lawson Peel, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of post-race talk. I don't know that you see a penalty out of this necessarily. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Think about this right in the sense of an oval. If there's contact for the race lead, a bump and run, potentially, you're not going to penalize that guy for using the bumper. Yes, the spin on an oval would have caused a yellow, so maybe things are treated differently, but we just don't know. And will it happen, won't it happen? I'm not sure on this one, but it is something I think that Lawson Peel needs to hold himself back from just a little bit. I think he's just getting a little bit overzealous. He's clearly good on these road courses, and is just challenging maybe at 100% a little more than he should be.
It is. I know the mindset. I can relate to the mindset of, running that fast. When you're in these positions on a road course, especially when you're battling for the lead, you're in hot lap mode in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And you're hitting your hot lap marks whether the competition around you likes it or not. And I think he got a little past that, and he was just thinking, maybe the tires, we have ran 13 laps, which times 4, that's 56 miles. This has already been a lot of racing on these tires. Maybe the tires just weren't ready for a hot lap kind of a run anyway. But he was in that mindset already to try to get all he can get. But
Sean Kalist off track in the 43. He has spun it out of turn number 3 there.
He is waiting to rejoin, so very, very good of him.
And he just tracked out too far and looped it.
Yeah. It's so easy to do. Turn 3, you think you've got more runoff area, and I said this track is forgiving in the sense that the walls aren't near one another, but that grass is right there, and that grass will it'll send you around. But yeah,
lap 14 of 45, and so we completed 13. We're just about halfway in stage number 1, or stage number 2 rather. Kalis gets back on track just ahead of Mario Miranda, and for context here, Miranda with that early pit stop is in the 7th position. And we'll go on by Sean Kalis here momentarily as he challenges there into turn 7. Let's watch through this pass first as Mario will get down to the right side and make that pass. So that pass is complete. You can see our race leader, Lawson Peel. Pit stops likely on the way either before or after the stage, and we just don't know which yet. So what we're going to do is go PitStop TV side by side for a short time, and we'll be right back, likely with the end of stage 2, and likely with some pit stops here in just a few moments. Stick with us.
Hi everyone, I'm Max Papis, founder of MPI. Let me introduce you to a line that we developed in MPI that is really dear to me, the MPI SimMax. Obviously, SimMax, the guy here. The reason of birth of SimMax is the fact that nowadays I believe that sim racing and virtual racing is exactly the platform to start. I consider sim racing and virtual racing very similar to the experience I had in go-kart when I started in my racing. And let me introduce you to our line of authentic steering wheel created specifically for the sim community.
Fuller,
Yeah,
needed F-150 for Smith build.
got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide, even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
Thanks for sitting with us here at PitStop TV, continuing coverage of the Road America 180 for the MPI Cup Series. These broadcasts are brought to you by a host of partners, beginning with the partners of the MPI Cup Series. And, of course, top of the list is Max Papis Innovations, MPI itself, that takes every aspect of construction and safety to heart in the most accurate and dedicated way possible. Max Papis' goal has always been to apply his experience and knowledge to produce a state-of-the-art product for the racing community. Auto Tempest, also on that list, saves you time, effort, and guesswork when buying a car by gathering results from all top used car websites. eBay Motors, Cars.com, TrueCar, Carvana, you name it, literally any car buying website, they pull all of those offers. Nowhere else will you find more listings in one place, and Auto Tempest makes it easy so you can spend less time looking for your ideal car and more time driving it, which of course is the goal of buying a new car. KaylaSynthetics.com is an independent dealer of Amsoil lubricants serving the USA and Canada alike, providing custom engine lubrication solutions to all types of customers, from residential lawn care crews to race teams to hauling fleets. They have it all. They have the products and expertise to help you save time and money. Go to KaylaSynthetics.com. That is KaylaSynthetics.com, or call 785-813-1882 to order. And of course, PitStop TV broadcasts are always brought to you by our partners here at the channel, beginning with, of course, Whiplash Simcams, bringing you all of the sights and sounds you see on PitStop TV broadcasts. These custom excuse me, custom broadcast cameras will suit your iBroadcast perfectly, but it goes beyond that. If you're just a casual sim racer wanting to see these races from a new perspective, go ahead and contact Whiplash SimCams. We have got it all. SimWrap Market, of course, as well, is a brand, well, not a brand new, but a brand new rebrand of an existing company that has already been bringing you pre-made iRacing wraps for you, the iRacer, the general iRacer to use. So if it's just over your head, you feel like, go to simwrapmarket.com, get yourself some pre-made bases, and especially some of those road cars. They can get pretty tricky, so SimWrap Market has you covered. Check out simwrapmarket.com, and also our partners over at Permanent Makeup in Cryo, Maine, bringing you the best coverage, of course, the best care, there we go, that money can buy. So we continue on here with stage number 2. Austin Reedy now the race leader. He has not pitted just yet. Emerson, could he be going for stage points, or does he pit this time? We, of course, saw in our quick break there that we had some pit stops that time through, or at least most recently. Lawson Peel, Joe Sanchez have pitted. They are separated by 4 seconds as Lawson Peel puts some pressure here on Justin Erb, who has not pitted just yet. But also we saw Steven Stempian, Kevin Hurley on the pit lane, Chris Progar and others. So big pit stops there as Lawson Peel has nowhere to go. He had a big moment coming back onto the racetrack on cold tires and is putting pressure here on Erb in a classic 2-stopper. That's why you saw him pit right at the lap 15 completed mark.
Oh, he clipped the grass on entry. I was afraid
Almost happened again.
Right, I was afraid he was going to do that. As far as stage points, well, there goes Erb, so Erb can't go that length. I wonder if there was any fuel saving in Austin Reedy's strategy. Oh, and big moment, turn 5. Reedy's gonna go off on the right-hand side. Luckily, there's a pavement.
Those tires are screaming.
Oh, absolutely. He has used up all of those Goodyear Eagles, and what are we looking at here? 18 times 4. 76 miles on those tires. 74, I'd say, plus the pace lap. They've been on there for a minute, and they haven't been 74 miles just rolling around here. Mario Miranda has moved up to... Oh, Walkout Keefe is off!
Problems there for car 22, and that looks like, is that turn 5 or that's turn 6, coming back up over the hill, and he had help. This is going to require a replay. Mario Miranda involved in this. Boy, this is going to be a pivotal moment in this race, I feel like, and one that, we just kind of dogged on Lawson Beal for contact at turn 14. This is relatively similar. We'll join these guys in 5. You can see Warren Kyle Keith slips back on by Mario Miranda trying to defend this spot, and then look at this contact in turn 6. Mario just gets in way too deep, and it's not very heavy contact, Emerson, but it's just enough to turn the 22 car sideways.
Absolutely. We'll get one more look at it. They were battling really hard for what it's worth. Mario Miranda, of course, he had pitted. Warren had not, and we'll see the battle here.
The battle going all the way back to turn 3. Coming through the under the Sargento Bridge, you see Mario squaring him up. So, yeah, Emerson, they were battling pretty hard, but this is difficult to swallow for you 22 fans. And, Travis does, or not Travis, Warren does everything right. Perfect defense there to turn 5, taking the inside line, claiming his line early, no blocking. And then Mario just challenges the corner, I think, way too hard and just turns him around.
And the other thing, I think Warren was also kind of getting ready to let him go. Either that or he had just missed turn 6, which doesn't help really anyone's case there. And Miranda, again, he felt, again, Miranda doesn't have fresher tires, but
it's an awkward spot, too. That was not hard contact.
Absolutely. With that being said, Reedy has come in, and he just missed stage points, if that's the case. Well,
yeah, I'm not sure about this strategy. Fuel doesn't seem like it's going to go all 20 laps. I'm kind of puzzled, to be honest, that Curtis Kelly even is still on the racetrack. Maybe he's saving just enough, but I hear him revving the car pretty highly on the downshifts. I'm not sure that's it. So we'll find out soon, I'm sure. But some interesting pit calls, pit strategies amongst the field, as only a few cars are left to pit, as Kip Easley is in, and I think Dakota Curtis is in. A slow car here, Sean Kalis will join the pit lane now as well, as he's coming in for the second time. Oh, he's got a lot of damage.
That left front is...
That car. Oh, boy. Did this happen in Canada Corner? Yes. Problems for the 43.
And that car, it looks like it's found a wall pretty hard.
He just got in deep. ran through the sand trap, and yeah. You see how his line is going. And Warren Kyle Keith has decided that's enough for him. Unhappy with Mario Miranda, certainly, and that's it.
Wow.
On the flip side of that coin, Emerson, Mario Miranda has a 20-second gap back to Curtis Kelly, 23 to Lawson Peel. It's looking good for the 99 camp, no matter how you look at it, even if you're maybe brought down even a little bit by that contact with Warren Kyle Keith. You've got to be happy for the Miranda camp right now.
Oh yeah, Mario, absolutely. What a amazing strategy, and I think he's coming up the hill here to take the second stage as well. He wanted to win that stage. He wanted to win it handily. He absolutely put himself in a great position there with the 8-second stop for fuel only, and puts a lap there on another car as well. 21 seconds. He's at leisure. He can take 4 tires and fuel, no problem. Considering everybody else still does have to pit, unless you're gonna go 2 extra laps and you haven't pitted yet. Everybody's gonna have to make a second stop in this race.
You know who this pays off for? He's coming to the line right now on the pit lane. Curtis Kelly is coming down the pits. He is just going to nab, it looks like, the 4th, 5th position. I think it was pit the line. Austin Reedy came across right as he was crossing himself. Checking the replay on my end, saving you guys some trouble. And, oh boy, this is going to be properly close. Kelly had him. Kelly had him at the line, so that's 4th place for Curtis Kelly. What a clutch move.
Wow. What I've noticed here, Andrew, is Ross Harlow, he's dropped out of the top 10. And he's down in
Harlow is also disconnected.
Oh, no. I wonder if he sped on the pit lane. Again, it's a very difficult
Oh, no,
pit.
there was a problem in turn 5.
Oh, no.
So he goes in deep, misses the apex, goes through the gravel, and doing my best radio impression here, catches the outside wall and knocks off both sides of that Chevrolet Camaro suspension. Yeah, it's been a rough day.
I'd imagine, because he just pitted, so I'd imagine the cold tires probably caught him out there. It's unfortunate. You see Reedy sliding a little bit there through turn 8. The carousel, they caught the 45 there of Brad Fulham to put him a lap down to themselves. And Reedy's had a problem. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Connection issues, yeah.
What to say, Reedy is contending for this 3rd position, so I couldn't imagine he would just auto 4. But he is sizing up Sanchez. It's down to half a second into Canada corner. And we've seen Reedy kind of have this drive through the field. He started outside the top 10, right? And then he strategized his way to this point. Also kept the car on track, which is very important at these road courses. You usually hear, if you keep the car on the black stuff, you're referring to the pavement, you're in for a good finish. It's Lawson Peel.
Lawson Peel.
That's a steamer.
A steamer. I've never heard it called a steamer until you today, but I'll go with it. That's a good name for it. What's interesting is Lawson is sitting stagnant at 24 seconds behind Mario Miranda. Now, I think it's clear Mario's strategy beats all, and something that was found going into Sonoma was that these are rather hard, rather durable tire compounds for these NASCAR Cup Series vehicles on the iRacing.com sim for road courses specifically, more akin to what you see on GT3 cars and GTE cars and things like that. They are very durable tires that can go for quite some time, more than a NASCAR fuel run. So these guys are learning, in some cases, in Mario Miranda's case, that you can stretch these tires a lot longer than fuel. You can double these tires in a NASCAR race. Not something I would have expected to say today, but it's working out as we have a battle for 3rd place.
It's true. I mentioned this on the Lone Star broadcast, Andrew. You can go a long time on these tires, and you just confirmed that as well. Again, running 35 laps at Sonoma and getting faster. At lap 32, I'm running my fastest laps of the race. It really is something. Obviously, Miranda has found that out. He's put enough practice. And here comes Reedy trying to find that hole. He's going to try to send it here to Kink.
Side by side, Reedy takes that spot back away from Joe Sanchez. Reedy on much newer tires by about 3 laps. It might not sound like much. At Martinsville, it wouldn't be very much, Emerson, but that's 12 miles here at Road America.
Absolutely. Miranda, he'll respond. I don't know if he...
Reedy off track! No! Wow.
All that work he put in to get by Sanchez. And you know what? He's going to have to gear up and do it all over again. Wow. And you know what? That's the first time in a while that he went into that corner without Sanchez in front of him. So I feel like maybe either, without the car in front of him to maybe have him brake a little earlier in his mind, or maybe he just saw clear track and missed his braking point nonetheless. But he's been behind Sanchez for a couple laps now into Canada corner, and he just got a little too deep there. Again, not any damage. He didn't loop it or anything, but he lost the spot he worked so hard for.
So a few battles down inside the top 10. Kevin Hurley is also close to Wyatt Brackett, but here's Dakota Curtis in car 1. He's pretty close to Austin Shoemaker, and he has been for a while, Emerson. I've kind of kept tabs on these guys when I've been able, and it really has seemed like the one car has something for Austin, but I also think Austin recently passed Dakota. So these guys going back and forth, trading blows almost. As you can see within this lap, you go back to the gap ahead. If we see that, you can see Dakota Curtis was actually tracking to Brandon Banks at the start of this lap. Now it's tracking to Austin Shoemaker at the time, but the name of Banks is still there. So Shoemaker made this pass on this lap. They haven't come back to the start-finish line. That's a good telltale way if a pass was made recently. So Shoemaker recently taking the spot away, in fact, on this lap from Dakota Curtis, and coming back to the start-finish line, Curtis has to find a way by.
Looks like there's a little bit of rear-end damage there. Like Shoemaker is...
Sanchez and Rady are lighting up the radio chat. Sanchez just missed something. I think gave the spot back out of turn 8.
They lit up the radio, so we can go ahead and take a look at it. He might have just missed the corner here, but we'll get to see it. Joe Sanchez into 55 ahead of Austin Reedy. Up through 7, and on the way to turn 8, did he miss the corner?
Right there, just pulls over and lets Austin go. I'm very confused by this. They've been racing pretty hard. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. But they continue on. Reedy now taking the 3rd spot. Stage points are done, by the way. We're into the back half of the race. In fact, we've just taken halfway. And let's kind of recap what's happened so far, Emerson. We began the race at an 81-degree air temp and a 100-degree track temp. The cloud cover briefly broke a little bit and has recently come back in. And we're properly still in overcast conditions. The track temp now down to 92 degrees. The wind's nice and calm at 2 miles an hour, so that's pretty pleasant. Mario Miranda started on pole. He's led just about all of them, aside from that period where he, I guess not all of them, probably about half of them and a little bit of change, because he stayed in the back for about half of stage number 2 until these guys pitted. Miranda playing a bit of strategy, has not come back in, has not taken tires yet this race, and is on a long tire stop strategy. He should come in this lap or soon. As you can see, 4 lead changes in this race. We've actually mixed up the lead a little bit with pit stops as, Mario, that was a little bit sketchy there out of the kink, but definitely various strategies. As you like to say, a grab bag of strategies. But let's talk about where these guys are running. Let's first actually talk about who is out of this race. Ross Harlow in 19th, then Warren Kyle Keith. Sean Kalist in 21st is in the pit lane for repairs. Isaac Mock took 12 minutes of repairs, is back on the racetrack in 22nd, 6 laps down. Charles Feltz also 6 laps down after 10 minutes of repairs for him. Logan Sturgeon is out after 9 laps down. Joseph Mahara is out. Richard Swavely is out. Ray Rogers back on the track after 35 minutes of repairs, Emerson. Alex Biscarella is out of this race, and Ryan Kendall is 29th and out of this race. So that leaves us with 18 cars in competitive position. 3 of them 1 lap down. Miranda leads, then it's Lawson Peel, Austin Reedy, Joe Sanchez, Steven Stempy in your top 10, Wyatt Brackett, Kevin Hurley, Curtis Kelly, Justin Erb, the remainder of your, sorry, I said top 5, now your top 10. Chris Progard, Jesse Whittington, Brandon Banks, Austin Shoemaker, and Dakota Curtis wrap up your lead lap before you find Travis Stevens, Brad Fulham, and Parker Bland 1 lap down, all the way down, ladies and gents, through position 18.
I just looked at Dakota Curtis. As he said, he's the last car in the lead lap. Austin Reedy a 2:10.8. So Austin Reedy has come to grips with Road America. But Andrew, what I was going to say is, earlier I'd mentioned that the rear end of Austin Shoemaker's car looks like it had damage, like it's been pushed in. Look at the front end of Dakota Curtis's car. That front end is, it's not one piece. I don't know if they've made contact, but they are running nose to tail, and the damage, that's also nose to tail.
They do kind of look like puzzle pieces, don't they? So tough to say exactly for Dakota Curtis and Austin Shoemaker, but kind of looking like puzzle pieces between the two of them. Potentially contact between those two. Joe Sanchez, by the way, has fallen off of Austin Reedy. Those tires for the 96 doing him wonders. And Austin continuing to put time on the 4th position. Through the rest of the top 10, the only battle I see, Emerson, or I guess battle it kind of, is actually going to be down around the 10th spot. Kip Beasley, Chris Progar, the battle to get into the top 10. Here you go. Cars 27 and 17. Progar in the Fastenal Chevrolet trying to put chase on Easley.
And I always love looking at cars that are in chase and to see who can get through the braking zones better. And because really, I know that that's not going to ultimately define who's faster. But when it comes to battling one another, who's better in the braking zones is going to pretty much dictate a battle, especially here at Road America, with there being 3, maybe 4 prominent passing zones in heavy braking zones. And you saw there, through 1 and 3, Chris Progar gained at least 2 tenths, so maybe 2.5 tenths to Kip Beasley just in turns 1 and 3. Really letting that car bounce the rev limiter. You hear the revs hang on the downshifts. And Progar is on it. He's getting it together in these tighter technical corners.
Progar putting pressure. Whittington is just behind these guys. It's worth mentioning Whittington, of course, had those issues early in this race. It is recovering. So good to see him getting close to a top 10. Of course, that position largely the effect of a lot of other drivers' misfortune, but that's part of it, Emerson. When you show up to 45 laps of racing in NASCAR stock cars at Road America, you are signing up for a battle of attrition that is exactly what we've got today. Just trying to keep these cars on track. We're down to 18 lead lap cars. Isaac Mock, by the way, has now gone past several of the cars that have parked it for the day. Charles Phelps will soon go by them as well, those being Ross Harlow and Warren Keith. Sean Kalis will come by in a lap or so as well. So those guys staying in this race, collecting some positions now, that's a big part of these races, and props to them for staying in this one and gathering some spots.
And certainly those around the cut line, those trying to point their win to the playoffs, they are more or less going to be the ones who would be rewarded for staying in the race. The ones who are more incentivized to stay in the race and fight through it, even if they had damage, even if this isn't a great track for them in their minds. This is a tough track, as he said, 45 laps Road America. I'd say borderline endurance race, because it is endurance stint, since we're talking about
Especially you don't have the stage cautions.
Absolutely. No yellows. You get a little bit of break on the straightaways. 1 and 5, or the straightaway to turn 1 and the straightaway to turn 5 are very long, but at that you're still, in the racing mindset. It's not that much of a break. Again, 26 laps in, I'm sure a lot of these drivers are starting to feel it, and we've seen the tires are definitely starting to feel it. Chris Progar maybe trying to take advantage of Kip Easley, who maybe, I don't know, fighting tire wear or fighting driver discomfort or driver fatigue. 26 laps in, there's still 20 laps to go. It's a lot of racing. 80 miles still.
bad news for the Kalis Synthetics camp. Car 43 back in the pit lane. I thought he had recently gotten back on track, but maybe I'm imagining things. I'm not really sure. As, yeah, it looks like I could be imagining things. Regardless, he's in the 23rd spot, waiting to be released from the pit lane. He should get a couple of spots quickly on Ross Harlow and Warren Kyle Keith once he does return to action. But 20 laps to go here, Emerson. Time is ticking on down. We've got 42 minutes left in the session. I want to say... Actually, no, that's 42 minutes left expected of racing. So we're still far from over, and we still need pit stops out of everybody in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering to see when Miranda's going to make the stop. I'd imagine it's got to be coming in the next 5 or so laps. He's been out there for a while. He came in right after stage 1. And, I mean, we're working with 16 laps after that. So, yeah, Mario Miranda's going to be close. And I believe he'd be the first one. He's one of the first ones who came down to pit lane. He wasn't V first. And we can expect him. I'm going to imagine 4 tires and fuel. I think it'd be nuts if he doesn't take tires. There's no reason for him not to. Had a 24-second advantage. But we saw him do it once.
These strategies develop and evolve. When do you think Mario pits? I think that's a big question. When do you think he actually takes these tires? Clearly the tires are working out for him. He's still putting time on Lawson Peel, but do some of these other guys maybe skip the tires? Maybe seeing what he did. Does Austin Reedy potentially, who was one of the most recent drivers on the pit lane, or even Curtis Kelly, maybe try and skip tires on their next stop, go for fuel only? I think Curtis Kelly's in a great spot to do exactly that.
I say if you have cars in front of you that you feel like you're faster than, or you have the pace to match, but you just can't get to them and get around them, that would be your time to chance it. I don't feel like Lawson Peel at 25 seconds back, he would have any real advantage other than maybe covering off if Reedy does it to do that. You see Miranda getting by that lap car. He's able to take a very shallow line into turn 5, and he makes it look like he could take that corner anyway, really. And Miranda, I mean, there is no pressure on that 99. I'd imagine as far as the question of when he pits, again, like it'd be coming in 3 laps or so. Everybody else, they're going to be able to go longer than Miranda because they pitted after Miranda pitted. But with that being said, they're going to have, 15 or less laps in the race. They can't afford to take no tires.
If anybody's hung up on the idea of not taking tires, you may as well do it earlier than later. Get it out of the way now, so you don't have to think about it when the tires are really old and they're really worn. Do it when the tires are still in decent condition, so you can really convince yourself to go ahead and chance it. Clearly, it's working, at least for Mario. I mean, he's got a lap right now on Brandon Banks, who we saw earlier as a maybe not a top 10 driver, but very, very close. So. Kind of interesting that some of these drivers have dropped off. We're on board with Wyatt Brackett in position number 6. Kevin Hurley advancing from behind. These two, they haven't really battled much today, but they've been around each other in some regard. I think Brackett moving up and Hurley kind of falling back as the day has progressed. Brackett with a bit of left front damage. Hurley's car looks pretty darn clean.
It really does. And, again, I don't think that left front damage, it's meaning anything. Oh, Brackett actually had a little bit of a moment there trying to get back onto the power, and that is allowing Hurley to close the gap, put the pressure on. Now really coming up to the rear end.
Close.
He is there, and now it's going to be when does he make the move? Where's the hole going to be that Hurley will throw that 42 car into to take this spot? And I've seen, Hurley's been on a consistent climb through the running order. So I'm sure he's been watching and thinking about this spot, P6, for a while now. Oh, he clips that curbing so nicely into the king. He's got a great run.
Here we go, a move potentially from Kevin Hurley. He looks left, he looks right to the inside potentially of Canada corner. Does he make a move? No, he sits back. Wise, clean, heads-up racing there from Kevin Hurley. He knows there's still nearly 20 laps to go, over 15 certainly. Worth mentioning, Sean Kalis has just exited the pit lane. He's back on track. Good to see that from him. And hey, we of course we see Steve Stempian always check in. T. Bland and Joe Miranda always say hi. I saw Tony Kiv and Terry Radford just checked in. A big shout out to all of you guys tuning in this evening on PitStop TV. A big thank you, and we're glad you're here for coverage of coverage of the MPI Cup Series on PitStop TV. And in case you're new to us here at PitStop TV, if you're out there watching, whether you're louder or quieter in the chat, we urge you to check out our social media channels. No social media updates during this race tonight, but a lot going on the channel regardless. Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, Twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, and YouTube.com/C/PitStopTV1. Now, I know a lot of you guys are watching on at least one of these platforms. Of course, if you're hearing my voice, you certainly already are, but follow us on all of those platforms if you can. We would certainly appreciate it as this battle continues on. Lap 28 of 45, Emerson, and things are getting spicy.
They most certainly are. Again, these two, they have been on it for the most part, and I gotta say, props to Wyatt Brackett for keeping it that calm. Vacar Hounding and Whittington is on the pit lane with Mario Miranda.
Chris Progar, problems. Miranda is in, good eye. Progar just taking a header to the outside wall in turn one. Not so much a header, actually. He was able to chuck the car down a gear, potentially even into reverse, and get that car sideways on impact to save the engine. Interesting strategy, but it seems to have worked out for him as Miranda is on the pit lane, and tires are going on the number 99. Very much expected, very much necessary at this point. We'll see what the rest of these drivers do as we expect Lawson Peel in at some point soon as we get close to the 2/3 mark in this race. Miranda will drop into third, and Joe Sanchez closes in but won't take the spot. Here's the replay for Chris Progar.
And I'm just thinking of what you said, Andrew. I haven't seen it yet. That has to be such a heads-up move in a situation of panic. And here it is. What happened to Chris Progar coming down the straightaway? And again, those 4 cones, that's about the latest you want to break in this thing. And he missed his braking point by a mile. And he was able to get on the throttle. He throttled up, spun it around. There's virtue. I mean, he made contact, but there's not that much damage on that thing.
Yeah, that car is pretty darn clean, almost unscathed. Wyatt Brackett out of the pit lane, so joining Mario Miranda, and this is going to be the busy, I think, the money stop for the entire field as Sanchez pressures Mario just a little bit. Lawson Peel will come across the line here shortly, and we'll start a new lap as this is one more replay of what happened to Chris Progar. This was a couple of laps to go into turn one. Check out the dash. We'll see if he throws it into reverse. And right there, no, he just let out the clutch. That is so heads up. Only puts the left rear quarter panel into the wall. Wow. That would likely spin the motor to an RPM you wouldn't want to discuss if it was a real car. But for iRacing, at the very least, brilliant stuff. I don't think you'd want to do that in real life, but it worked out this time. Chris Progar, some big-time heads-up thinking, throwing the car into first, letting out the clutch, and letting the rear end skate him along to a safe escape there.
Again, I know we're in the middle of pit stops. I can't fathom that. That was cool.
I might have thought of reverse, but I never would have thought of that.
I never would. I probably, in my mind, if that's me, I'm just taking the L and eating tires right there.
Well, lap 30 now underway of 45. We're coming up to the 2/3 mark. I see you guys talking about Parker Bland. Parker Bland is in the 18th position. He's had a rough night. Beautiful paint scheme aboard the 01 cars he's had for all of June, but it's been a very, very rough night for him. Emerson started off rough through turns 1 and 2, and it really has gotten no better as somebody has just taken an excursion. I think that was Curtis Kelly a moment ago. Maybe not. Actually, that was a lockup from not Ross Harlow, Travis Stevens, of all people, in car 2 through Canada Corner, just locked up the inside tire a little bit. One thing worth mentioning as this race continues on, we still need pit stops from Lawson Peel, Austin Reedy, Joe Sanchez, Steven Sempian, Kevin Hurley, Curtis Kelly, Justin Erb. Kip Easley, Austin Shoemaker, Brandon Banks, Dakota Curtis, Chris Progar, Brad Fulham, Parker Bland, and Isaac Mock, and even Ray Rogers. So this race far from over. An expected 33 minutes, almost 34 minutes left of racing here today. And look at this battle for third. Two separate situations, though, because the 55 of Sanchez still has to pit, while Miranda in the 99 does not.
Absolutely. Miranda, he came out behind Sanchez. He's already made his way through the 55, and important to note that Miranda had done that because we've seen a lot of drivers struggle on cold tires. And Miranda, of course, I know he has such a big lead that he's not really pressured by anything. He could afford to take an extra second or two on cold tires just to make sure that the car stays in one piece. But again, we've seen so many drivers struggle. Even the best, Kevin Hurley's gone around.
Oh, man, car 42, he's been having a great day, albeit, I think, faltering in the later stages, but that is unfortunate for the 42 car. Now, I think, well out of touch with the 81, as here we go, a pit stop for Lawson Peel onto the pit lane following Chris Progar. Lawson finally comes on down the pit lane, and he'll take 4 tires and fuel, or will he? Does he take no tires potentially, Emerson? This is a pit stop we have to watch, a very pivotal one, in case he tries that no tire stop strategy. Does the car go up on the Phantom Jacks? It's not yet. Oh, these guys are learning. They're learning. So Peel going to double stint these tires, exits the pit lane. Where is he? Oh, he's already 20 seconds back on Mario Miranda. It's not going to matter for the win, but smart. They're learning.
Absolutely. I say that, yeah. At that, he's only... I mean, okay, so he was in a tight battle with Austin Reedy.
You know, what the problem is he didn't shorten the pit stop at all.
Right.
He took a full tank of fuel as opposed to Mario's 8.2 second stop or whatever he took of fuel earlier.
Sanchez did the same thing. He took 13 seconds of fuel as well.
But even with this discussion, Emerson, I've heard some drivers say that the tires actually feel better the longer you run them. So this could still be a perfectly viable strategy to pick up a little bit of pace. And, even if you sacrifice the pit stop time, Sempion also a full tank of fuel. So that's where the problem lies. I think definitely Mario Miranda had these guys one up today. Hurley, he takes tires. And we'll go back on the racetrack here in a few moments. You see him up on the jacks, pulls away, and that was a 4-tire stop.
Yeah, Andrew, I know. Again, we're looking at time and scoring. You see all the 13-second stops. That's all full tanks of fuel and no tires. That's a lot. There's a lot of them in the top 10.
It's the 15s and 16s where they took 4s, so very interesting how this race has evolved, how these strategies have evolved, as Sean Kalis, unfortunately, of Kalis Synthetics, has called it an evening. Austin Shoemaker in the pit lane. You see Jesse Whittington down the pits as well. And, yep, he's been there for a while. This would be one to go back and find out what happened. He came across the line of the pit lane with a very damaged left front to that car. So something happened at the tail end of the lap. In fact, it was the final corner of the circuit, Emerson. Turn 14. We haven't seen many problems there. We've seen them in Canada Corner. We haven't seen much happen in turn 4 until this. So Jesse Whittington in the number 94 K9 Rouge Rescue Toyota Camry. You know what? He posted on social media this week about these brand new bright yellow, neon yellow numbers. As there goes Miranda and then Sanchez on through on the inside. Jesse Whittington's family, I based on social media, has run neon yellow numbers on their cars, or it's a special color to them regardless. And he wanted to bring that personal style into his paint schemes, talked with all of his sponsors, got it approved, got it okayed, and a really cool, I think, addition to that paint. But unfortunately, I guess it's the next lap through. Big problem in turn 14. You'll see it in a moment. So we'll pull up this replay for you. Jesse Whittington, this is so unfortunate to see as well. And, here you go. Into turn 14. Doesn't clip grass or anything, just gets in deep and has to chase the car off the racetrack, noses it into the tire barrier, and unfortunately that breaks the left front of the car, and he is done for at least now.
Yeah, just again, a little too hot. Turn 14. There's a lot of sand. There's a lot of grass there. I don't know if there's maybe just he lost focus for a second, or it just really wasn't agreeing with him as soon as he got to the brakes. That's unfortunate for Jesse Whittington.
So, I see Burnt Rubber Media now in the YouTube chat, and I can only imagine that's Jesse saying that it makes sense that it takes well over 3 laps to get the tires operational. And we will just leave that one there. It sounds like a rough night for car 94.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, it's a track of long straightaways and very slow corners. You're not building a lot of temperature in the tires, and the track temp's gone down 9 degrees over the course of the race, Andrew. So it is actually very difficult to build tire temp here, because I think really the only section of the track you're building consistent tire temp is from turn 5 to the kink. Because after that, other than that, it's just slow corners and straightaways. The tire temp isn't really getting built up across the other 2.5 miles of the circuit.
You know the best way to heat some tires? Lock them up.
Wow.
Oh, Austin Reedy. Close call there in turn 5. Everything's okay, but for a moment had me a little bit scared as he passed Isaac Mock, who pulled over to the right side and let him go on through. I'll tell you what. I know Jesse's dejected and Terry's having his fun, but I feel for Jesse right now, and this YouTube chat is a riot with Joe Miranda, T. Bland, and of course the Stempian family out there, Radford, and everybody else. This YouTube chat is a riot. I love watching these messages come on through and keeping up, but especially in this kind of a race where things are spread out. We can kind of lay back and chat with you guys, but one battle that is actually coming around is you see Steven Stempian in the 7th spot. He hasn't really done a whole lot tonight because he's just been quiet in a good way. He's actually pitted about 2 laps ago, so he should go back on by Justin Urban, Curtis Kelly, and finish around the 4th or 5th position if he keeps the car on track. But one battle we have to turn our attention to, Emerson, as Kevin Hurley has actually spun off track. I'll get to it eventually. Parker Bland, Travis Stevens. This is for 14th now as they pass Kevin Hurley, Emerson. As you see Hurley toe to the pit lane. Look at these two. This is for position, 1 lap down, albeit, but for the 14th spot.
That's right. And again, we've seen Stevens. Stevens hasn't had too much trouble. We've seen Parker Bland have his troubles today. And these two, they're coming together here. I wonder if Bland. Well, I wonder what Bland is looking at here. How aggressive he's going to be. Does he feel that there's more speed in that car and that he can get through Stevens and kind of get some more spots if he can get past the 2 car? If he's just riding it out, trying to get to the finish here. He is really closing in on Stevens here. If there's going to be a move, he's going to have to get a great run to the kink and set one up and get into the corner potentially. All over the rear end of the 2 through the kink, and well, here's the run down to Canada corner.
Nose to tail, car is 2 and 0-1. Parker Bland looks to the right side, backs out now as Lawson Peel goes purple at a 2:10.5. Beautiful racing between these two, and it's ramping up further ahead as well as Dakota Curtis came out of the pit lane right behind Brandon Banks. So that'll be fun to watch soon once Curtis tires up to 10th, but we'll stay here with cars 2 and 0-1. Parker Bland way out wide through Bill Mitchell Bend. And now settles right back in behind Travis Stevens. Now Travis has traffic up the road in the form of, well, never mind, Justin Erb in 6th place, peels off to the pit lane and will come in for his money stop of the day, his final stop of the day on lap 34 of 45. Time is running out to get these stops in. I don't know if these guys are saving fuel, but here we go. Side by side, Bland up the outside.
Stevens all the way by the inside grass. Oh, Bland didn't get the move done. And Stevens holds on. I don't know. I thought he was letting them through, but maybe that was a defensive line.
That was interesting. I'll say between these two. But they get on through it. Parker Bland still trying to find a way on by. And this would now be for 13th as they passed Kevin Hurley moments ago. As, there's Kip Beasley off track. I don't see much damage, but I do see damage to the, or at least maybe scrapes or dirt on the right rear quarter panel of that car to turn 8, now through turns 9 and 10, the carousel here at Road America. Bland, though, setting up for a pressure attempt, an attack here through the slower sections, the twisty bits here at Road America.
Right, we're coming up to that corner, turn 8, where Kip Beasley just had a spin. By the way, that's so easy to do. Again, there's the curbing, and after that, it's grass and sand, and you can just run a little wide right there, clip the sand, and you're going to go around. Now, Bland, you see, we're right on the nose, looking, trying to get up to the inside of Travis Stevens. Can't get there yet. And again, that's such a difficult corner. Oh, a little wide. I was going to say, you're sitting through the carousel, waiting for that point where you feel, oh, and he clips the inside grass there for good measure. Parker Bland struggling behind the 2, Travis Stevens.
So he'll fall back now about a second behind Travis. And he'll have to regroup. Justin Erb. Oh, Justin Erb's in trouble on turn 6. He just pitted from position number 6. And cold tires, clearly an issue. So Jesse Whittington is onto something here. Watch this for Justin Erb, or well, rather, if we get a replay, I gotta back myself up. I'm used to having things within my control, Emerson. I apologize, but here we go. Now we'll have Justin Erb's issue in turn 6, as I got to continue to make these adjustments, and of course, getting right back to the normal flow this week. But this is the problem for Erb. Turn 5 looks okay, right? Gets the power down, a little bobble, but nothing too crazy. Another bobble there, but turn 6, the rear end just comes out from underneath him. The cold tires, definitely an issue for these drivers today. And, you know, the colder track temps, I think, are giving way to that. I know a lot of guys, you know, they want to have these cold track temps on road courses, but the tires can't take heat if you're running on a 90-degree track temp versus a 110-degree track temp. So I know you guys want cold tires, or cold temps, but that's a big part of it. I know as well, these sessions are actually set on projected forecasts, so it's not even these guys are getting influence over the weather in these races. Dakota Curtis sets them up to be as close to real life as possible, and I just know drivers always want cold track temps. They always want it to be grippy, but sometimes they just can't put heat in the tires if that's the case. You see on your screen, 81 degrees in the air, and, well, 80.7 with a 90-degree track temp and calm winds.
And again, I mean, all that track temp you build up, then you go down a long straightaway that's 0.8 of a mile, and you lose all that tire temp that you build up. I mean, this track is not friendly to tire temperature in one bit. And we're seeing these drivers struggle with it now. This is Erb kind of fighting for his lead lap life in this race. Austin Reedy still has yet to pit. But Erb is on the tail end of the lead lap. And I mean, the tail end of the lead lap.
Lawson Peel, fastest at 2:10.085. And Lawson is making some
inroads.
But, I mean, a 20-second gap is not going to close itself, and with 10 laps to go, that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Something I want to mention, I don't know that this is actually going to happen, but Austin Reedy is still on the racetrack, Emerson. 17 laps now into his run. He's got 10 to go. I don't know how he would go 27 laps, but he's still on the racetrack. And, oh, Justin Erb nearly hit him. Thankfully didn't. He's not going to save enough fuel, but could he stay in the top 3?
Well,
he's not going to win this race, but
yeah, right.
Could he stay in the top 3?
I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, he's probably going to just come in for a splash and go, right? I mean, certainly if he took tires, and he ran the tank out last time, took tires. At this point, you can afford to not take tires, and again, he locks up there, but that's not going to help his case. I mean, certainly he will be third. I mean, he's got 53 seconds over Joe Sanchez. I think he could take tires and still rival for third, but he could solidify a third place finish if he doesn't take tires. And here he comes. We're going to find out.
Now, while this goes on and Austin Reedy comes on down the pit lane, we're putting up a poll on YouTube, and we'd love to hear your thoughts here on this one. Who do you think is going to win this championship? Now, Emerson, I know we're in race 17 of 35. We're only coming up to the halfway point after this race and actually next race out in 2 weeks' time. But we should think about it. I think in some regard, who's going to win this championship? We have a few options out there. We've basically picked the top 4 in standings for now. We would take different drivers based on different trends if it was later in the season and we had more to go off of. But very early picks. Go ahead and let us know what you think out there in the YouTube poll.
Wow.
We'd love to know. And a very short stop for Reedy. That is exactly what he needed to do. We'll see where he comes out as Peel breaks into the 209s.
I can't think of a 209 around here. I mean, I'm thinking of a whole different race car at that point of a 209.
Working on sports car times, yeah.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, you're
Reedy,
right.
by the way, does sort into third.
Yeah, he solidified that third place finish. I wonder, so we saw Reedy, he did set a purple time in the middle portion of this race. If he can come to grips with this track, I don't know if Reedy's got 2.9 in him, because that is a tough time to beat. But if he does, could he rival Lawson Peel for a P2?
Ooh, I don't know. And how with Peel going purple, we'll see how things go. But it's an 8-second gap. That's a lot to make up. That's a second per lap, pretty much, Emerson. That is a hefty gap, as this is a great battle to go to, actually. Dakota Curtis, Kip Easley, Chris Progar, 3 cars in a line to turn 5. 1 Toyota Camry, 2 Chevrolet Camaros, and a whole lot of bragging rights in the midfield. 11th, 12th, 13th on track.
And we've watched Chris Progar throughout this entire race, right? Continue to work his way through the midfield. Progar's been a constant in this midfield, in a battle, working his way forward. Finds himself once again tailing Kip Easley. Kip Easley had a spin in turn 8. Dakota Curtis, he's had his troubles today. Chris Progar, he is looking to see what he can do. You're right, bragging rights. And then after that, well, okay, so they're about 9 seconds back of Brandon Banks. But should something happen ahead, this could be the battle for the 10th place position if there's unfortunate luck up the road.
Lap 38 now underway of 45 as Miranda pings across the start-finish line. 1 car left to bit, that's Curtis Kelly. So with things in a good position here, Emerson, I think this is time for one more round of PitStop TV side-by-side. The stage is set. Mario Miranda with a 20-second lead right now. And, Dakota Curtis did just make a mistake and drops to 13th. But, hey, he's still going. We're all still going. That's just how it goes sometimes. So we will take a step aside and be right back to you, but you won't miss a moment of the action here from Elkhart Lakes Road America. Just a quick break from our sponsors here at PitStop TV.
Hi everyone, I'm Max Papis, founder of MPI. Let me introduce you to a line that we developed in MPI that is really dear to me, the MPI SimMax. Obviously, SimMax, the guy here. The reason of birth of SimMax is the fact that nowadays I believe that sim racing and virtual racing is exactly the platform to start. I consider sim racing and virtual racing very similar to the experience I had in go-kart when I started in my racing. And let me introduce you to our line of authentic steering wheel created specifically for the sim community.
Fuller,
Yeah,
needed F-150 for Smith build.
got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide, even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
Welcome back to PitStop TV and continuing coverage of the Road America 180. It's been a fun one so far for the MPI Cup Series, although it is starting to get strung out as all of these strategies settle in, Emerson, as everything kind of works itself out. This is how road course races tend to go. So while we get closer and closer to the 5 lap to go mark, let's talk about our partners and mention them quickly before this race comes to a close. Of course, PitStop TV and all these MPI Cup Series broadcasts brought to you by MPI, Max Tempest Innovations, Auto Tempest, Keyless Synthetics, SimMax, and our partners here at PitStop TV, of course, begin with Whiplash Sim Cams, continue on with SimWrapMarket.com, and even Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine. Plenty of great people doing plenty of great things here at PitStop TV, allowing these broadcasts to go from us to your screens at home. Just over 5 laps to go, and Mari Miranda, while leading most all of them, sans maybe 10 to 15 laps so far this evening, he's very much en route to a win. Now, he has started to let some time slip through his fingers. Lawson Beal has closed in a little bit, as you see, 23 laps led of 39 complete, so 16 have gone other ways. Lawson Beal, yes, he's closed in about 5 seconds since he came back onto the racetrack, but that's not going to win a race, ladies and gents. 15 seconds to make up in 5 laps is not going to happen, and yes, you see Curtis Kelly on the pit lane. Wasn't he just on the pit lane, or am I losing my mind? Or did the stop just take that long?
I thought he was coming down the pit lane.
Yes, he was.
So
that's 2 laps in a row he pitted, and he's gone 1 lap down. Wow, what could have happened? Oh, and Lawson Beal purple.
Oh my gosh. There's some
Well, I'll tell you what.
crazy times.
So we have a post-race structure of drivers that we talk to after these races. Of course, we talk to the winner right away after this race is over. And we then have a choice of who to talk to, pretty much. Second and third, we'll get one of them, then maybe 2 other stories. Well, Curtis Kelly will certainly be one that we talk to, and I think Lawson Beal, Austin Reed, certainly the other 2 that we'll invite into the booth. Curtis Kelly, I think we've definitely got to find out what happened to him. He was going to finish around the top 5, Emerson, and unfortunately that last pit stop, he came back in for full service. So I can only imagine what's gone wrong, and I'm really not sure there for the 29 car. But big problems regardless for that Chevrolet. Here you see Dakota Curtis on screen. He's about 1.2 seconds behind Kip Easley and about 1 second ahead of Chris Progar. So close battles just outside of the top 10, 11th, 12th, and 13th on the racetrack. And we do officially have 5 laps to go.
So before the side-by-side, Andrew, Curtis had a problem and fell behind Progar. So he since has gotten by Progar. He's starting to chase down Kip Easley once again. So the way these guys are going, they just kind of keep flip-flopping positions with one another, it seems. Progar, unfortunately, I'm thinking this is probably where his march through the running order is going to stop, around in this battle. But, well, I say that... Well, I was going to say, never mind. The gap to Brandon Banks has doubled since I last mentioned it, or almost doubled. Actually, yeah, it was 9 seconds before the side-by-side. It's now 16 seconds to Kip Easley and Brandon Banks. So, something has happened here. Brandon Banks is just flying. Brandon Banks is running 2 seconds quicker than these guys. So, I guess there's that. But, these guys are not doing any favors for themselves.
Just back up on our point scenarios, of course, we don't have live points to calculate in front of you, but we can talk about, of course, the fact that Mario Miranda comes into today 10 points back of Steven Stempien, and he's outscored him by, I think, enough to already have or be close to that points lead. So Stempien is definitely going to lose this points lead, I think, today. Miranda will take that back over, and Lawson Pila is going to make some inroads. He's certainly going to gain a bunch on Steven Stempien, and while he won't gain on Mario Miranda, the sheer fact that Miranda was closer to him than Stempien was means that overall, Lawson Pila will be a lot closer to our leaders than previously going into this race. So definitely some changes. Even Joe Sanchez making some big moves today. I think we're finding our big four, if you will. We've talked about the big three in the NASCAR Cup Series in years prior. Our big four, it seems, really even be big five, based on race wins as well, are your top five. Emerson, Mario Miranda, Lawson Pila, Austin Reedy, Joe Sanchez, Steven Stempien, in no particular order.
I'd have to agree with that. The only one I'd question is Austin Reedy, since he won at Auto Club and he won 2 races this season. By no means is that easy to do, but it's been so long since he's gotten that second win. I have to wonder. I mean, he's still running the podium, so I guess he still has it for sure. It's just taking him a while to get back to victory lane. And I guess I'm not.
But we still have one road course after this, and that's the Charlotte Roval. So
right.
if Reedy is consistent on these road courses, he's got that going for him. We know he's good on speedways. Of course, the defending Daytona winner from earlier this season means that he's got a good leg up on the competition going into the final race of the regular season, and he won at Auto Club, so he should be set nicely for Michigan International Speedway here later this summer. So those are a few races that you could watch out for Car 96 to be good, and he's been good at other places. I think Richmond was really a track that he shined through, Emerson, and if we can quickly bring up our schedule for this season, that 96, I think, definitely has a chance at there we go. So the season schedule for this season, we wrap around to, well, Michigan, that I think he's going to be good at, Richmond, that we think he should be good at once again for round 23, and then Daytona 2 weeks later. That's 3 races in a 4-week span where Austin Reedy can put some points back on this field and definitely, I think, flex some muscle going into the playoffs, and then the Charlotte Roval should be good to him. We'll see where things align after that. I think maybe Talladega, being that it's a plate race, well, a quote plate race, a super speedway race like Daytona, it could also be good to him. So watch out for Austin Reedy in round 2 of the playoffs, I think, and certainly leading into the playoffs.
Can't forget about Watkins Glen as well. That's another.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, we have 2 road courses. I don't know how I overlooked Watkins Glen. We have 2 road courses left to go after today.
Yeah, so a lot of opportunities for Reedy to get back to victory lane. It's been a moment for sure, but with him in third, I mean, again, he is amongst the heavyweights here today at Road America. So I can see it. Certainly, the top 5, they've had their say on the season. Reedy, of course, had the point lead for several weeks before Miranda took it over, and then Stempien, of course, just took it over last week.
So with just 3 laps to go, Mario Miranda is still leading, but this is a battle that's heating up. Cars 14 and 54, Austin Shoemaker in the 14 Ford Mustang, and Brandon Banks in the number 54 Chevrolet Camaro. Very, very close. This is for the 9th spot on track. Banks with slightly older tires and closing in.
Shoemaker just locked up big time. And you see 2-3-10s because of the lockup entering turn 8. But Banks very wide on the entry to carousels. Banks going to be able to straight line this exit. It's very hard to do that in the carousel. Overall, Banks gained time through the last 3 corners, but I think that carousel could have been cleaner for Banks. Shoemaker now through the kink and Banks. Banks looks like he didn't have to hesitate as much. And down to run the can in the corner. No move going to be made this time. It's 0.4 of a second, but it is closing for Banks.
Oh, aggressive in the can in the corner. Banks will go wide. He keeps it on the track, though. This race is not over between these two, although it is much more spaced out as we have officially taken 2 laps to go here at Elkhart Lakes, Road America. There's Mario Miranda, race leader. He's still got an 11-second gap, Emerson, but that was not an 11-second gap very long ago. He has slowly been bleeding time off and just utilizing this lead that he has, but he's got to be careful. God forbid he makes a mistake or a lap car gets in his way. Lawson Peel is closing in.
Absolutely. Before pit stops where Mario Miranda had a 23-second advantage, he had the opportunity, not that he was going to, but he had the opportunity to even have, say, like a spin and get back going and still have the lead. That's not the case anymore. Oh, Peel has just lost 5 seconds.
Oh, man. Just as soon as we thought maybe there was a threat, he has to go past Parker Bland, and it looks like that has held him up a little bit. Oh, no, actually, it's a separate issue. This is turn 5. Parker just closed in. We'll see it here in a moment on screen for you. Lawson Peel, as soon as we thought maybe if this race went just perfectly, he was still in it. This mistake into turn 5, I think, just over-revved the rear of the car and goes for a slight slide.
Wow. We were just, again, talking about that. Potentially, Miranda could make a mistake in the final 6 miles of this race. And, oh, there it is. Lawson Peel going around late in this. Again, it's not over, but certainly isn't looking, now, I wasn't really looking to go in Lawson Peel's favor tonight. But that chance has kind of gone by the wayside as Mario Miranda's coming to the white here, Andrew.
White flag presented by Whiplash Simcams at Road America, but you know what? 4 miles to go. We saw how quickly things can change for Lawson Peel. This race is not over just yet. It's not over till the fat lady's singing, so this race not at all settled, but it looks certainly promising for the Burnt Rubber Media number 99. And Burnt Rubber Media, very, very supportive of their drivers. Here we go, Banks to the inside of Shoemaker. No dice there, but he is certainly trying. He wants that 9th spot, but to harken back to BRM and all the support they put into their crew here in the MPI Cup Series, it's clear which team is technically, if you will, the best. Drinking Bros Racing has got this field covered, but there is no wavering of support from Burnt Rubber Media. They always check into the chat, mostly by the form of Terry Radford checking into our YouTube chat and interacting with social media. I see Jesse Whittington out there all the time. I see those guys checking in all the time and just trying to tell the world about their racing endeavors here in the MPI Cup Series, and it's always worthy, especially when you have somebody like this, the face of your brand, Mario Miranda in car 99, leading the way and winning all of these races, Emerson. It's so helpful for BRM to show off this guy here. That black and blue and bright yellow numbered Toyota Camry is just so good.
Absolutely, Mario Miranda. He's had the field's number this season, winning on a plethora of tracks. He has yet to get it done on a roadie this season. Definitely had a pace to do so at COTA. Well, unfortunately, the world will never know what would have happened with Mario Miranda at Sonoma. But on his way down to Canada Corner for the final time, he has put a good little butt kicking on the field tonight and setting sail with a 13-second advantage into the final couple corners.
Bill Mitchell Bend, that's easy for the BRM 99. Now down to turn 14. Admittedly looked a little bit squirrely into the corner, but Mario Miranda squats up out of turn 14, gets on the power, and will come on down, not to a white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams, but a checkered flag here in the MPI Cup Series, Road America 180. It's a fourth win on the season for the 99 and Super Mario.
What a job for Super Mario, but Andrew, we're not done with the battles. They are still prevalent around the racetrack. Shoemaker has broken through the second threshold on Brandon Banks into Canada corner. Pretty much the last chance for Banks to do anything of it, and well, that one has gone by the wayside. Here it is.
This one, Dakota Curtis.
Yep.
Through the kink, both cars right out to the edge of the curbing. Chris Progar in the waiting in case something goes awry between these two. This the battle for 11th. Kip Easley, Dakota Curtis down to the Canada corner. Dakota way to the inside, locks him all the way through the corner, pushes Easley wide, and here comes Progar with a chance at both of them. He gets the two.
Wow.
Car 17 on through the middle.
Chris Progar. That was perfect. You said he was waiting in the wings. That's exactly what he did. He let those two clean each other out, and he got the spot. It'll be P11 for Progar up the hill. Easley and Curtis, they're going to fight up the hill.
Drag race to the start-finish line, but it's the one staying in behind. I think, you know what, Dakota at that point realized he really cost Kip Easley a chance there. Let him keep that spot over him. No! That's a fun bit of contact there. That is no kind of angry. That is a fun bit of contact from Dakota to Progar for
racing.
spoiling the party. Yeah.
And here it is. This is a long cooldown lap. I mean, you see Miranda. He is still carrying a good bit of pace around here. He wants to get back to the front straightaway. But well deserved. The cooldown lap. He's not really cooling down. He's still on it.
Really good run out of Mario today, and
absolutely.
You know, we've come to expect that over the course of this season. But Emerson, this one was right back to his dominating ways of Circuit of the Americas, and it came down to Lawson Peel in the closing stages there as well, where he was closing in. Today, Lawson was closing in, but made a mistake before anything could really come of it, and even then, I don't think anything would have, as Miranda goes on by the number 24. And he'll come down to the start-finish line, I'd imagine, and if he has fuel left, and I believe he does, he'll give us a burnout session on the front stretch. Now, I will say, with Grid Life this weekend to Audubon Country Club here in Illinois, in Joliet, Illinois, I saw a whole lot of drifting, a whole lot of smoke shows, but I think this one might rival those.
It's going to be something special. I'm actually curious to see if Miranda's got anything special for us in store for a celebration. I mean, he's still hauling. I don't know if he's going to slow down at the start finish, Andrew. There he goes. He's slowing down.
Mario certainly with a job well done. Of course, Joe Miranda always in our YouTube chat, checking things out and rooting on his son. And Mario now needs to back this up on Thursday. He needs to go and get himself an amateur race victory in the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Series. Although it's 2 Thursdays from now at Phillip Island Circuit in Australia, so he's got a little bit of time to practice. As this is certainly good practice for him, getting a W here in the MPI Cup Series, and even a bit of left side damage for good measure, just dinging that car up a little bit, giving it some more battle scars, as really he saw no battles tonight, leading just about this entire race from the drop of the green flag and never really having to race for it afterwards. Had the best strategy from the get-go, I think, Emerson. We talked about it early. When we saw him pit and not take tires, we knew it would be a good day for him.
Absolutely, and what a day! And I guess this is Isaac Mock and Whittington.
A BRM photo shoot.
Oh, that's right. How about that? Well deserved.
And there you see the BRM teammates at Burnt Rubber Media. Isaac Mock in the 7, the white and pink and black car. Jesse Whittington, the 94 on the right. And Mario Miranda in the black and blue, number 99. Let's go ahead and dial up Mario Miranda, race winner this evening in the Road America 180. And Mario, we knew, not quite from the drop of the green, because things still could have happened, but honestly, from your first pit stop, when you took fuel and no tires, that this was going to be a good day for Car 99. We knew you had something up your sleeve, and clearly it works out. You held a 20-second gap over most of the field all day long, and you closed it out for victory.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing, you being fast at a racetrack, but it's another thing able to back it up with strategy, and those two together, is deadly, and most of the time gets you victory lane. So we found out that we wouldn't have any stage cautions this morning, so I had to flip my whole strategy around, and ended up working in my favor a lot. Found out we were seeing that the tire wear was almost non-existent, so made sure when I did my first pit stop, I only took 1 can of fuel, so I wouldn't waste more time with the gas man switching cans. So a 7-second pit stop compared to a 12-second pit stop really helped.
Now, how big of a deal is that coming into race day and you find out your strategies are going to have to change? You go from thinking you're going to have cautions to play off of and likely a pit stop or a close fuel run in the back end of the race. Now you have to make this a two-stop strategy and try to figure out your tire strat from there. How big of a changeup is that? How big of a deal is that?
That was a really big deal. I found out this morning when I was working on my clearing out my trailer and working on my cart at home, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not very happy. I saw the news and I messaged my team owner and messaged a couple other guys like, is this really happening? Because I was working all week on it, and I was able to put something together really quick, and it ended up working out really well for me.
Now, of course, we've seen you now 2 weeks in a row in the North American Racing League running Porsche Cup cars here on the channel on PitStop TV. I know the cars necessarily don't have any correlation, but it's muscle memory. Getting yourself, keeping yourself, I guess, active on road courses because you run karts in Oklahoma. Tell us about all of that. Your kart racing obligations, your now Porsche Cup racing obligations in the North American Racing League, and how big of a help that is to you.
Honestly, it is a huge help, and when I first started racing, it was a bunch of road course racing. Through games like Forza Motorsports and Gran Turismo as a kid, because they didn't have over racing, so I would play those, and I would always watch NASCAR though on Sundays, and I ended up just mixing the two, and I found a real good passion in it. And now with the Porsche Cup League, which is so much fun, and it's honestly a humbling experience. It's really nice to be around that kind of group of road racers again, and that kind of racing is so fun. And now in karting, hopefully to be in shifter karts in a month or so, really stepping up, and every year is a big year for us, trying to step up.
Now you come in this evening one spot behind the points lead. Was that on your mind tonight at all, or was it just trying to keep honest on a road course?
I after I missed Sonoma, I lost the points lead, but then I had a really good points day in Nashville. I was only 10 points behind Stympian, and I knew that I was strong here at Road America, and I think I could have taken I think I did take the points lead back.
Mario Miranda with a good day at Road America. I think surely we'll take that points lead back away from Steven Stympian by maybe 5 or so points, and wrapping up a good day certainly from Wisconsin. Congratulations, Mario. Best of luck to you in 2 weeks' time when we pick up right where we left off, and can't wait to see you there.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Mario Miranda there with a big win from Road America, which means we can turn our focus, Emerson, back to our race results and talk about where all these guys finished, because they finished some distance behind Car 99, certainly. Mario put a beating on this field, 29 laps led out of 45. That is nearly 66% on the dot. So our overall unofficial race results, Mario Miranda out front by 14.9 seconds, call it 15, and then Austin Reedy some nearly 30 seconds behind the race leader and race winner of Mario Miranda. Joe Sanchez 1 minute behind. Steven Stympian in fifth, 1 minute 25 behind. And Wyatt Brackett, the final car on the lead lap. It was a classic session of school for Miranda on this field, at least on this road course. Justin Erb goes 7th. A quality run there for him. Curtis Kelly 8th. Austin Shoemaker hangs on to 9th over Brandon Banks.
And that's just the top 10, and here's where the fun went down. Chris Progar somehow finding his way through Kip Beasley and Dakota Curtis. He goes from 13th to 11th with 2 corners to go. It'll be P11 for Progar, Easley, and Curtis to the line. Osatail 12th and 13th respectively. Travis Stevens, the last car, 1 lap down, 2 laps down. It'll be Parker Bland. And well, after that, I think this is where we'd start Heartbreakers Road with Jesse Whittington coming home in 16th. He'll be 6 down. Isaac Mock, he did finish the show, 7 laps down, but he had an early problem, which already dropped him out of contention. Brad Fulham comes home 18th, 8 laps down. Charles Feltz also 8 laps down in the 19th position. Kevin Hurley, who was well within inside the top 10 all day, rivaled the top 5 all day. That finish result, that doesn't do him justice. That's 20 of 14 laps down.
21st finishing position today in the Road America 180, you'll find Ray Rogers in car 18. Unfortunately, also 18 laps down, just ahead, well, I guess well ahead, of Ross Harlow by 9 laps. You see Ross Harlow, Warren Kyle Keith, and Sean Kalis all 27 laps down, all having a lot of rough times today, and I feel like they all retired at different times, but ran extra laps or what have you to get to that point. 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Logan Sturgeon, 25th, 32 laps down. Joseph Mahar, very quiet. He had a very early exit after, I believe, just after the first stage. 34 laps down to our race leaders and race winner Mario Miranda, Richard Swavely, Alex Buscarella, and Ryan Kendall wrap up the rest of our field. So with that, Emerson, that is your full 29-car rundown. And we can go ahead and take a step aside, get ready for our top 3 interviews. And for those of you wondering, that means we've got Austin Reedy, Lawson Peel, and Curtis Kelly coming up in just a few moments. Not our top 3 interviews, but our I guess, 2nd, 3rd, and 8th place interviews with Curtis Kelly. So stick with us here at PitStop TV. We'll be right back.
Is that I own MPI, the steering wheel company, and I'm building the steering wheel. This is my creation.
This is yours.
Yes.
It's so sexy.
The steering wheel, it's a very unique thing. It's shaped on the hand of Scott Dixon.
His hand.
Yeah. This grip has 27% more grip feel than suede. Scott in the race is gonna make less effort when he drives. When you're in the car, it's like having 40-pound dumbbell like this, maybe more. In the car.
For how long?
3.5 hours. You know, average heart rate in the car, never below 150. Never below 150. You need to be a real athlete to drive. Yeah. They exercise every day. So this is my creation.
Fuller.
Yeah.
Needed F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide. Even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
Welcome back to PitStop TV and continuing coverage from Elkhart Lakes Road America. Now, the B-roll looks all nice and sunny with some clouds strewn about, but the race was rather overcast here in virtual Wisconsin. Definitely a cooler day than we expected for the MPI Cup Series, but the action on track was hot as per usual. Mario Miranda claims another race win, makes it 4 now on the season, and pulls back ahead of that tie for wins and a deficit to Steven Stepien in the points, and puts the 99 back on top of the series. Now with that, let's go ahead and get ready to talk to second place Lawson Peel. And Emerson, he had certainly an interesting day, a roller coaster of a day in some ways, but always stayed in the top 3 or 4 positions. Lawson Peel is looking good.
Absolutely, and we bring in driver of the number 53, Lawson Peel. Lawson, now you led 4 laps, and you laid down some absolute steamers of flying laps there towards the end of the race. But in the end, it just wasn't enough to top Mario Miranda. What more did you need there to be ahead of 99?
Yeah, I needed to not make those 2 mistakes I made in that first run. It really cost me the race right there, so yeah, I hated that happen. You needed to just not make any mistakes and be flawless, but just wasn't able to do it. I got to apologize to Ross for turning him there. Yeah, just overdrove that and locked it up, so apologize to him. But yeah, I mean, after that it was pretty smooth, and we definitely went way faster than I thought I could go in that last run there. So I'm a little frustrated because I felt like I had the pace to get up there and maybe be better if I would have not put myself back at such a deficit.
Right, and we saw early, I don't know if you were paying attention to Mario Miranda's pit box time, but that first stop, he pitted right after stage 1 ended, and he came in for an 8-second stop, fuel only. Obviously, that came in as a result of the race having no stage yellows tonight. Were you able to tailor your strategy to no stage cautions tonight, or were you kind of flying by the seat of your pants when you came into tonight's race?
Yeah, I was just going to split it up evenly, and I stuck to that, which is what I did. So, I took tires the first stop, not the second stop. But, after that first stage, it was pretty much, slim to none of me having a chance because I was just too far behind.
Well, so you got it done at COTA. You got the second place finish done today here at Road America. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, you won Sonoma. You got these roadies down packed, and of course you've gotten wins on other types of tracks as well this season. You're setting up nicely here. What are you looking at as we get now into the summer months here in these upcoming races?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to these next few we got coming up here: Atlanta, Pocono, Indy, Michigan. Those are some of the next few. I love all those tracks. So looking forward to those. I think those will be good for me. But yeah, just continuing to look forward to these last 8 or 10 races before the playoffs and position ourselves well. But I'm happy with P2 tonight. I certainly can't complain. But yeah, just seeing the pace I had on that last run there, I would have loved to have seen how that would have worked out if I would have been up there closer.
Certainly. Well, Lawson, again, a very, very fast car. Some of those lap times, you had me gasping when they light up on the screen. Those were some gnarly lap times. But it's the second place finish for you tonight. Congratulations on the second place finish. Best luck to you in the coming weeks. And yeah, hopefully we're talking to you then.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Right on. And that was second place finisher, driver of the number 53, Lawson Peel. He led 4 laps today, and man, he had a race-winning pace. Just was not a race-winning race, Andrew.
He comes home ahead of Austin Reed in car 96. Now, Austin's got a couple of wins earlier in the season, but it's been a long time, Austin, since you've gone to victory lane, and it's one more race in the books that you're not standing there with the gold trophy. What is it going to take to get car 96 back in victory lane?
Stop making mistakes. I think that self-spin on the lap 1, and then I think I got self-spun again down a Canadian corner. So we got to clean up the mistakes. I think we have the speed. Maybe not tonight. Mario was really fast tonight. I saw Lawson was clicking off 9s, but just got to clean up, stop making dumb moves, and we'll get one.
So sure, Mario's got these road courses covered potentially, at least it looks that way, but you're also good on these road courses. So that has me, I think, hopeful for Camp 96, at least for Watkins Glen and the Roval later on in the season. And based on your Daytona success, I think we have to look at Talladega and Daytona, again, later in the season as races that you'll be good. And let's not forget your Auto Club win, so let's think of Michigan later in the season. It seems like you have multiple races still left on this docket where you're going to be good. Even Richmond, where we came in race number 7 way back in April. You were good there. We have Richmond later in the season. So it's a lot of races, in fact, 4 straight into the playoffs where we should see Car 96 be fast. How do you feel about those? Where do you think you go back to victory lane?
Michigan's probably a really good shot. Daytona's always a coin toss. You don't really know what's going to happen there. A lot of luck plays into it. But I like those big 1.5s. Trying to get better at these the short tracks. They really give me a hard time sometimes, but I think these big 1.5s, 1.25s, it's going to be my best shot.
Austin Reedy, 10 laps led this evening, started 6th, picked up 3 spots, and it was only as low as 5th. I don't know how you managed that when you started 6th, but Austin, congratulations on a top 3 effort this evening. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, guys.
Austin Reedy wraps up a top 3 finish, and definitely, I think, back on track where he needs to be, Emerson. But you know what? I'm glad that this guy was back on track this evening in some big ways. Curtis Kelly had some excursions, but hung on for a position number 8 finish.
Absolutely, and it is driver of the number 29. He comes home in the 8th position, but Curtis, you ended up a lap down. Correct us if we're wrong. It looked like you came into the pit lane a second time there on that second round of pit stops. Is that true, or were I just deceiving us?
Yeah, unfortunately, after running that great strategy we had for the race, I managed to hit 47 instead of 45 in the final 5 feet of the pit exit there, so that put a little bit of dampers on the finish, but kept in the hunt still. We had enough of a gap that it wasn't the biggest loss, but put us behind Wyatt, who we were 2 seconds ahead of at that point after the pit cycles. That was gained on pit road, and same deal. After that, I was just trying to fight and get back to Justin Erb. Didn't get there.
Well, nonetheless, you said you were ahead of Wyatt Brackett on that. You had at least the 6th place pace, potentially more if the cards fell your way. But still, a very good top 10 run here as somebody who could really use to continue to stack up these points in your favor. Overall, what do you make of your pace tonight, and how do you set yourself up looking forward?
We were kind of thrown a curveball tonight. We were expecting stage cautions. We didn't have them just because of how long that's going to take here. Makes perfect sense having run a race with stage cautions here before. So that kind of changed the strategy ball on a lot of people last minute. I think I was the only one to make the first 2 stages without pitting. I came in at 19 coming to 20, so that's where I jumped a good chunk of the field, I think, and saved some time. Kind of had that strategy going on from the start of the race there, conserving. Made up ground in the first lap, but from that point, it was, I know my fuel game. I know it's going to be tight. Rolled in with 0-1, 0-0 kind of thing. And after having the tough race at Sonoma where we hit the tires coming into that final hairpin, didn't even know I hit them at the time kind of thing until the tire fell off the car down the front stretch. It was nice to have a good finish tonight and pick up some stage points.
Certainly, completely slipped my mind. You were the last driver to pit on that first round of pit stops. And you just edged out Austin Reedy at the line, albeit you were at pit road speed. All in all, a great strategy there. Did you know that was possible? Like, as you ran simulations or race runs, or was that kind of something you figured out as the race went on?
Going into that from practice sessions, I knew it was possibly possible, if that makes sense. Really depended on how good I could be on that outlap and if I could get some draft throughout the run. Kind of learned a little bit from some other people during the practice session of where I could save some fuel, it seemed, just watching some people lap, and really it was tight, some short shifting and a little bit of clutching at points just to bring it in there. But I needed those stage points, needed to secure those really. After coming from 4 races down in this series, it's been a big point deficit. But we're getting there and we're inside the bubble, I think.
Well, certainly, the run of momentum is in your favor so far this season, Curtis. Unfortunately, you had the mistake on pit road, but it's still a top 10 finish, a great I think showing, with that being factored in, of 8th. So nothing to scoff at. Congratulations on the 8th place finish. And hopefully we're talking to you in the coming weeks here. Best of luck to the event, Curtis, and yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, there it is. 8th place finisher Curtis Kelly. He said he sped on pit road, Andrew, but he still came down and took service again. It's a little weird on how that happened, but I know that feeling. 47 and a 45, that's a no-go on iRacing.
Yeah, well, the good news is he still finished inside the top 10, held on to a pretty solid day, honestly. The only car ahead of him on the, one lap down was Justin Erb, so really not that bad when you consider it all, and good points, certainly, still for finishing 8th place. It's not like that was anything all that bad. So the rest of the season coming up, but we've talked about upcoming races a lot, and upcoming races, I think, mostly that certain drivers are good at, but let's look at the rest of the schedule as a whole, and next up in 2 weeks' time is the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're getting into that bottom half of the second row of races, so we're getting close to the playoffs where we hand the baton back over to Podium Esports. It's the Atlanta Motor Speedway next up on July 10th. So 2 weeks from tonight before we head to New Hampshire, Pocono, Indianapolis, Michigan, Richmond, and Watkins Glen before handing the baton over to Podium for Daytona and wrapping up the regular season there. So a lot of great racing on the way. A lot of great racing left to go in this season. Atlanta next week is going to present a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were expecting the Super Speedway to be on the sim at this point. That's not the case. So we're having a traditional 1.5 mile race coming up next week. We say that, but then you think about the old asphalt at Atlanta, and it's just a cheese grater on tires. So really, it's going to be the driver who's able to keep their car from sliding the least, or keep the car from sliding the least, keeping those tires happy. And I'm sure if it's going to be, if the weather is based on a prediction of what it's going to be in Atlanta in 2 weeks' time, well, it's going to be hot, Andrew. So it's going to be very tough track conditions on a potentially very hot and slippery track, old pavement. I can't wait. And then, of course, New Hampshire, Pocono. And actually, I'm thinking about it now, Andrew. I think they're still running the Indy Road Course in real life. So I'd imagine that's probably what we're also going to have in a couple weeks as well.
Very contrary to that, I know the conversation has been, for the most part, the Indianapolis Oval.
Okay.
So we'll see exactly what we get here in a few weeks. It's coming up a lot sooner than we thought, right at the back end of July, it looks like. So I guess maybe even into August. It's coming up soon, and we'll, of course, update you once we know for sure. I think there's a big debate as to what drivers really want to run. So blame those pesky drivers for that one. But definitely moving on through this season. Atlanta next up, then New Hampshire, as we talked about. And I don't know who's going to be best at either one of those tracks, really. At Atlanta, certainly, it feels like maybe Lawson Peel. He's most recently won on 1.5 miles. No, actually, it was Joe Sanchez back at Charlotte, but otherwise it'd be Lawson Peel from Kansas, so a lot can still happen, a lot can still take form, and it could be somebody else who doesn't have a win yet. I mean, you're looking at guys like potentially Wyatt Brackett, who doesn't have a win. I think you've got to consider guys potentially down the road of Dakota Curtis, maybe even Warren Kyle Keith to get a second win, or Ross Harlow to get his first of the season. A lot of guys can still win this season, and I think most of the guys that are in the top 10 that haven't won yet will still get a win.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a lot of unknowns. I can't wait to see how the standings will shake up. Of course, I do imagine we are going to get a couple new winners over this stretch. But again, it's really tight coming into today's race on that points on that bubble into the playoffs. I'd imagine it's still going to be very tight. We still have a plethora of track types to get through.
So enough about just upcoming races here for the MPI Cup Series. Upcoming races on PitStop TV as a whole, they are plentiful, although we do have some time away coming up. So first up, we get Wednesday evening with the Michigan International Speedway for the Outlaw Sim Series. Once again, NASCAR Gen 7 NASCAR Cup Series vehicles on track at 7:30 Eastern on Wednesday evening. And then a week break, which is really odd, but it's for the July 4th Independence Day holiday, if you will. So kind of an odd situation for us. We have some time away from the broadcasts before we go to Eldora Speedway with the Outlaw Sim Series, and then Phillip Island Circuit for the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Series at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on that following Thursday. So 2 Thursdays from now. And Emerson, talk us through these upcoming races for the Outlaw Sim Series. Michigan and Eldora, very, very different tracks from one another.
Oh, absolutely. Again, we're still talking about Max Service holding the point lead, but his lead continues to narrow as the weeks go. Actually, Seth Berger missed this past weekend in New Hampshire. That lead is open. But Michigan, we have a lot of unknowns. I can tell you from the Gen 6 car at Michigan that it is almost a pack race. It's almost similar to what we see at like a Daytona or Talladega. Just a little bit of braking in the corners. I don't imagine it's going to be the same thing in the Gen 7 car because there is more horsepower, but they are going a little bit slower at the same time in lap times. So we don't know what's going to happen in Michigan. I'm sure we're going to get ready to find out. And again, Eldora, we do know how the Gen 7 cars do on dirt. They are all right, but we haven't seen them on Eldora. That is going to be a very fun challenge. So we don't know what kind of racing we're going to get this upcoming Wednesday for the Outlaw Sim Series, and we don't know how these bad boys are going to handle on the dirt at Eldora in a couple Wednesdays from now. So a lot of unknowns. I can't wait to get them answered, Danger.
Of course, we invite you to follow along with everything PitStop TV on our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, the whole lot of them. We broadcast, of course, to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We post our social media updates to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and that includes more than just pictures of race cars, but also tune-in alerts, so to let you know when we're broadcasting and where you can watch it. So definitely reason to stick along with us here at PitStop TV and follow along on social media. But that will wrap things up from the Road America 180 and the MPI Cup Series. It was definitely a bit of a different situation for us, Emerson. Glad you came in clutch. Glad that Kyle Heyer came in clutch this evening as well, allowing me to use his equipment. This has definitely been an interesting evening, refreshing for me to switch roles, but definitely a lot of fun. I wanted to make sure we stayed on here with the MPI Cup Series, and specifically, I'll be most consistent. I have been the most consistent voice so far, and I want to stick with it. I really do enjoy this series that Dakota Curtis and the rest of the team at the MPI Cup Series put on. And of course, Max Pappas Innovations, Auto Tempest, and Kayla Synthetics supporting this series. So many reasons to want to stay on this coverage, and well, that's exactly what we did. So again, a big shout out to Kyle Heyer and SimTV allowing me to use this equipment and the space as well. His living room has definitely come in clutch for me this evening. But that will do it this evening from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We're glad you could join us for the MPI Cup Series, Road America 180, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage. For all of PitStop TV, Emerson Arden joining me on the mic this evening, and everybody else behind the scenes, my name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Thank you so much for tuning in for race 17 of 35, and we will see you next time. Good night.